live in an extremely unfairly racist world, and I don't like it. But that's the world that we're in, and we as Black people, we're never given our just due, not only for what we do, but our influence and creation of other people's cultures. They don't celebrate that. They never acknowledge how we innovated and created and started something that they've now been enjoying for 2, 3 generations, 4 generations, however long they've been in America. Because when people come to America, they don't bring their native music with them. Well, here in LA, the Mexicans kind of do. They be over there a little bit. The fresh off the boat, the fresh off the border Mexicans, they be over here playing that doonch 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 doonch. They playing that shit. A nosotros hemos vimos a la cuatro o nosotros. They be playing that shit. You know what I mean? But that don't really lead the backyard. That don't really lead them the backyard parties. That be the ones that are fresh over here playing that shit. They kids hate that music. I know because all my years working with kids, the children will tell me so. They're like, my dad plays that, man. I want to listen to Dr. Dre. I like listening to Tupac. I like listening to Erica Badu. They don't play that shit. They play our shit. And I don't see anything wrong with that. But when it comes time to award us and acknowledge us and what we do, you don't see us being rewarded. And for me, I'm getting more and more, like you just said, Eve, I'm getting more and more stern in my point of view because, especially the more research I do, the more research I do, and I unpack and find out who influenced who created what. Right now, the research that I'm heavy into is in the early 1800s in American music. I'm in the 1810, 1818 years of my research right now. And when you find out the first Black band, that means the first American band, the first band in American history to tour Europe was a Black band. When you find that out, when you go into your research and you see all of these things that we were the innovators of, and no one can give respect to that. When you see, when you go to a Latin jazz concert or Latin music concert, and no one gives credit to Dizzy Gillespie, Charlie Parker, Horace Silver, Max Roach, and the bebop musicians that inspired and their sound, the musicians that their sound fused with, they can't give them no credit. Like what? And then you see that not only can they not give them credit, they don't even give the dark skinned Latinos credit. They don't acknowledge Machito. They don't acknowledge that early original class of Afro-Cuban musicians from the 1940s and 50s and 60s. They don't really start to acknowledge them until they got lighter in the 70s, the 80s. And as they got lighter, those are the ones that they acknowledge. Nobody acknowledges the dark people, not even of their own race. They triple don't acknowledge us. And you got niggas that want to put Eminem on the GOAT status when the GOATs of their music don't even get as much as a shout out. We got some people that came up. Go right ahead.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Peace, brother. Go ahead.
All right, so yeah, I was just on the YouTube page listening to Dwan B, and I just wanted to say, it's nice to, because I thought it was just me. I knew it was others out there, but it's finally, it's great to hear that people was calling out this Eminem bullshit. Because you said it in your broadcast a few minutes ago that they just hate us, but they got to get someone white to represent us, our music for it to get played, and that's the only reason why we know about it. Eminem. As a DJ, I never got a damn Eminem request. I never want to play an Eminem song. Like it's just like, there's so many other artists out here who are on the level, and and it's kind of like irritating that you got, niggas like 50 Cent and Dre and all these people who would defend like an Eminem. Like, and shout out to Dr. Umar for calling his ass out too. He's saying, you know, that no white person, should be the best at anything of anything but black, you know. So yeah, I'm glad that this is happening and that people are finally calling this shit out, And another thing, to address what Dwan B said before he ended his YouTube about, someone, calling you racist. If we could have like, just give us like 1 month. If black people could have 1 month where we could have racists be, we could actually be racist and have the power to be racist, then we could destroy white supremacy like overnight. I would immediately change laws just like how they do, and have every last one of their homes raided for evidence of what their ancestors did. All this little, they got penises in jars and all kinds of stuff, that will bring them up on charges, and have all of them arrested, and we can literally just, put reparations in place immediately. A lot of things that we could do. If we could be racist for 1 month and have that power for 1 month, that'd be the end of white supremacy for sure.
Brother,
So yeah,
I don't even know if, I mean, like, I feel you, but we've never been that, and things have been really good for us in history. I think that I agree with you. We need to be focused for sure. We definitely need to be laser beam focused for like a month. The critical mass of us who are already, on it, I think that would definitely put us where we need to be. But d- you said you did check out Umar's comments, and you checked out the interview, right? And you were listening to Dwan on YouTube.
I didn't see the whole interview. I just saw the clip when he was going in on Eminem.
How do you
There's a couple of clips. There's a couple of clips where he just went in on Eminem.
how do you feel about the black people who say that Eminem is the greatest, though? Like, because it's not, Umar's not just
I just
coming out
want
of
to slap
nowhere with
him.
this. There's niggas out here saying that Eminem is the greatest, and people are writing it down.
I,
So for 50 years later, they're gonna say, "Look, the nigga said that he was the greatest." Like, how do you feel about
I just want to slap them. I just, it irritates the hell out of me when I hear, black people, talk like that. Like when you try to enlighten them, like how, Dwan was, basically breaking it down on YouTube just now. You try to enlighten them, they want to argue with you. So it's like, what can you do? It's, this is the reason why I said, I understand that we would never, is not in our nature to be racist. I'm just making a point that if we were to be able to be racist for a period of 1 month, maybe even a little longer, a little less, we would destroy white supremacy overnight if we had that damn power. So the next time somebody call you racist for calling out racism, you let them know that, like, yeah, I wish we could
Yeah,
be racist.
yeah.
You know?
Thanks for that, dog. Um, yeah. So like, we as black folks is, again. I don't. Them calling me racist. That's so. Like, I think that's the last thing that black people need to be concerned about, is being called racist by these people. Like that's the least. We got to understand this. Racism, um, racism. We don't have to go around telling people that we can't be. They know that. They know how they feel about us. We all this back and forth and stuff about, no. You want to call me racist? Fine. Eminem is still not the GOAT. Fuck you. Why do we don't need? I'm not about to be going back and forth with these people over my culture and my history. He's not. They don't. Do white people argue with us that Ray Charles isn't the GOAT of country music? They don't argue with us. Look at you and be like, all right, now back to what we were talking about. Fuck you. And when it comes to the black people who think that way, that, like what Eve was saying, that's where we really got to spend our time on them niggas. Because when it comes to them, I don't have any tolerance for them. And they be like, well, Dwan, you sound like, well, I sound like how the fuck I sound. No, well, you can't be a GOAT. He's white, yes. And yeah, you don't like it? That's your problem. And you sound fucking crazy. Matter of fact, you sound like a coon. They get real mad when I say that. You ever notice black Eminem fans be like, why am I a coon for thinking that Eminem, because of his rhyme patterns, is a GOAT? They be over there. They be crying out, don't they? Well, they really, these niggas really do care about what you think. It really matters.
B Rabbit earned his position on 8 Mile. Dwan, you gotta go easy on him.
Right. And if you want to speak on this, come up and speak. We got to think about this shit for a second, yo. Like, Eminem was given, he was given his position. Eminem was given his position. Who the fuck else gets their tape marched to the front of Dr. Dre's desk by one of the 5 most powerful men in music, Jimmy Iovine? Is there any, can we name these people in here? Can y'all name any black artists ever that their music was given to the top producer of the label by the white person that's in charge of distributing the funds and marketing? Can we name one? Can y'all? I can't. I can't name any. I can't name any black artist who came out of nowhere and their music was put on the desk of the label's top producer without having to go through. What kind of contract did he get to negotiate? Was he just hella smart, makes him for him getting all that money, or why did Eminem not have to start where Taraji Henson's complaining about at the bottom every time he negotiates an album? How did, out of all the people that be talking about getting shorted in money, why ain't Eminem one of them? He got that level of access. He got Dr. Dre on his first album. That level of marketing that he got. Why ain't he dealing with issues of the label not recouping the money that they always seem to do black folks? Like, is these are all questions that we got to have. But back to what I was saying to start the whole thing. Yeah, Eminem is white. He can't be at the top. And I think that we as a people have to get very serious about drawing a hard line there. Everyone in the world draws that hard line when it comes to us. Everyone in the world draws their hard lines when it comes to us, and also when it comes to their cultural traditions and cultural creations. Everyone draws that line, and that's the game that everybody's playing. That's the next question. Are black people are we fooling ourselves? Are black people just like That's the question I have for you. Are we just have we just gotten conditioned to fooling ourselves with the world that we live in?
Oh, absolutely. I think niggas get to comfortable positions and then it doesn't really matter what's going on in the world around them. I've seen it firsthand. Suburbanites, niggas who want to be from the hood, but their parents fought really hard for them not to be in the hood. And then, you kind of live in this double life of you have roots in the hood, right? But then you didn't actually grow up in the hood. So I think that we're people who can use our family to get credentials, and then we try to pass those credentials off to other people because I guess we're afraid of the power that comes with it. Like if you're gonna claim, and if you're gonna what sets you claim type shit, if you're gonna rep an area, then you should do it the right way. You should do it wholeheartedly, with your full chest. And then from there, I guess let the chips fall. But right now we've got people who want to share. Everything is about sharing, and we don't have to take full accountability for something if we share responsibility. So now it's not just about sharing the profit, it's about sharing the if something bad happens, when really that's what the biggest push to share is because people don't want to be accountable when something doesn't happen the right way, or if somebody gets dicked out of a deal, or paperwork is not what you thought it was going to be. Everybody wants to share the blame then. But I think that we need to get more selfish, but it can be scary. So i I hope that answered your question. I know I kind of went all around the world.
No, that answers my question. It's like as a people, we we tend to like that's just that leftover remnants of slavery that's reinforced through our propaganda and education of today. And that's the whole worshiping of whiteness thing. It's like you when you look at some of the mental gymnastics niggas go through to put Eminem at the top of the heap, it's fucking crazy ridiculous. Like I mean, like for real mental gymnastics. Well, you gotta understand, he has these rhyme patterns, and he put 50 Cent on. He's the reason why we have 50 Cent. And Eminem sold this many amount of albums. And that music was hot. So he worked hard to get where he got. So okay, that's what it takes to be considered and put at the top of the heap. Like that's a lot of work. You got to go all the way around the corner for that one to land. You got to fly that airplane high, nigga. That's a whole lot. That's so many extras on it for that plane to land. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? What are we talking about here? Like, I want to know what some of y'all think. Hit the mic. Yeah, I want to hear some
Look,
shit.
Eminem is like what's that actress's name from Save the Last Dance? What the white girl from Save the Last Dance? You know who I'm talking about? Is it
They
Julia
all the
somebody?
same to me.
um, I want to say
Jennifer Lawrence,
Julia somebody, maybe. I don't know. You're right. They all
Kelly Kapowski. I don't know. All the
Julia
same to me.
Stiles. Okay, Julia Stiles and Kerry Washington walk into a bar, and no, I'm just kidding. But in Save the
Ah,
Last Dance, I I don't even know. That movie kept popping up on my Prime feed, and I kept thinking about just the whole movie because you've got this white girl who doesn't really have any skills. They are acting like she's got these ballerina skills or these other dance skills, and then she, ends up in the hood. Now she's got to do this hip hop thing, and I know that we're not talking about her, but my point is that these most basic as regular as people get so much accolades from the niggas. And then that's how they actually get put on. It's not because their own people are giving them support. No, it's because of people who look like us. And it's like, God damn, if we put that much or half the energy into the niggas who look like us, who should be, making these sounds and doing this type of art, then we wouldn't have to worry about the usurpers, the Bruno Marses and the Justin Timberlakes and the Eminems and shit. But those are just my thoughts.
Yeah, a lot of we do a lot of it. Same like with Jennifer Lopez. We put like Puffy put her on. You know, first Living Color put her on, and Latinos still weren't checking for J Lo and being a Living Color background dancer. And then Puffy put her on, gave her all the resources. You notice Puffy didn't fuck her out of no money, and that's what makes it even worse. Not even did the black people put her on. You'll never hear about when we put them on them being fucked out of money. You ain't never heard about Robin Thicke being fucked out of money. You never heard about Justin Timberlake. What's that little white boy? Justin Bieber. They money straight. Not only do we put them motherfuckers on, when they do get put on, Eminem, you never hear them complaining about royalties.
Look,
How would
that's a whole word, Dwan. I'm sorry. Let me pause. Let's slow this down real quick. Because is it because the white people have the right people on their side? And then if we're thinking about it, they all have the same people on their side. And then the white people are the
they
cowards.
all got the same damn lawyers?
Right,
All of them. They are
right.
represented by these major law firms. All of them. All of them, for the most part, recycle the same goddamn lawyers. Why is it from Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch to Vanilla Ice to Eminem to Robin Thicke to motherfucking Justin Timberlake and all the white artists, Justin Bieber? Why is it that Adele, 100% of the white artists, none of them are complaining about their money being funny? What's going on here? Adele bought a house here in LA for, let me make sure the number's right. Adele's house. Uh, uh, I think it was for $62 million. She yeah, 3.5 acre home in Beverly Park Terrace. Beverly Park Terrace, I've been up in there. It's a gated community within a gated community. You drive up if you're on a 405 or if you on a 405 freeway, you drive up, you exit, and you get off of that Mulholland. I forgot street that street on the side. I forgot the name of the street. That I think Mulholland. Get off on Mulholland, take that hoe up the hill. You dip, then you dip. You go behind the gate, and then there's one set of multi-million-dollar homes. And then when you get into the part that Adele is in, you go behind another gate. And with Adele, how many albums does Adele have? Adele has, she got popular really, she got popular in 2011, really. So Adele has, if I go back to her first album, 2008, Adele has 5 albums, 4 albums. Adele has 4 albums. She has basically 4 albums. How can she afford a $58 million house in Beverly Park? 4 albums. How? When you have, at the same time, black artists that have had multiple albums still having to tour every day to get a decent apartment on a good side of town. Like, why is it that their artists never complain about money? What's going on here? They're all, like I said, they're all represented by the same law firms. They're all represented by the same agents. William Morris. William Morris represents white and black. There's no separate black agencies. Even your black agents either work for or at one time worked for one of the big boys. The only ones that are independent are the ones that at one point worked for the big boys and then got enough of their weight up to create their own company. But everybody either works for or used to work for the same handful of law firms, agencies, and management staffs. What the fuck is going on here? We got to ask these goddamn questions. Is it the same people that's pushing Eminem to the top of GOAT status? Are they the same ones that make sure the white side gets their money? And these white, here's nothing about it. These white artists, they get immense budgets to promote their stuff. There was something that what's his name said, Joe Budden. Something else said on different. I don't even really watch. I've never sat down and seen a whole episode of the Joe Budden podcast. I just be hearing the clips and the highlights that the rest of you guys do. But I think it was Joe Budden podcast. They talked about Eminem, the Hot 97 thing, and how at Hot 97, when it came to the black artists, they wouldn't. The black artists, no, the Star. It was a Star report. Star was talking about how the black artists wouldn't get paid to perform because Hot 97 considered its summer fest, summer jam promotion for you. So the black artists had to basically, work for free. But he said, I think it was Summer Jam 2002 on the Star Report. He said that Eminem not only was paid to do the performance, they paid for this huge production for him. So not only does he get preferential treatment and payola paid through the radio, allegedly, but he also gets, according to the Star Report, when he was being put out there, he got all of these immense resources put behind him. Well, the black artists, when you put up these immense productions, that comes out of your budget. And it seems that the black artists never tend to recoup when they have these major, major successes. Eminem's cardboard cutout was in the front of every single Virgin Megastore, Tower Music, Warehouse Music, Blockbuster Music in the nation. They put immense resources behind him. They put immense resources behind Adele. When Adele was out, you heard that flat, atonal, horrible ass music she sings all over the goddamn place. How can they budgets be paid back in time for them to make enough money to buy $58 million goddamn mansions? This is for these niggas that be out there talking about something. When you get what you negotiate, or black artists could just do better. No, nigga, no, it's obviously deeper than that. It's way deeper than that.
Let's go just a little bit deeper to the fact that white people will pay white people to do a black sound before they'll pay your black ass to do the same sound because it's more palatable because it's coming from another white person. The first time I heard back that ass up, but the white version of back that ass up, Dwan, I thought it was a joke. Like, like Weird Al Yankovic, like he's a joke. Like I thought it was a joke, but they they were dead ass. Like that was actually music that people were putting on and listening to for pleasure, not as jokes. Like it was easier for them to listen to. And their kids were listening to Juvenile, but the parents were listening to some other stuff. And I just was taken aback because I thought, at least back then, I thought that that was only some shit that happened way back in the day, right? When you had to go in a different entrance, but they wanted to jam to Frankie Lyman, but they couldn't because it was unacceptable because of racism being just so in your face back then, right, Dwan? But it's like the same thing right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what it is. That's it's the same. They don't stop it. It stays. It keeps recycling and happening over and over and over and over again. And none of this shit new. And they don't stop it. They have an issue with our music when it's because they can't do it. They have to find somebody like Pat Boone. They gotta find somebody that looks like them to do our music because our music is a drug. It's crack. It's so goddamn addictive. Ooh, it's so goddamn addictive. Our music is so goddamn addictive, and they can't help it. So they got to put a white face on it or a non-black face. But we got a new speaker in here. Eve, let them know the rules, and then let them speak.
Peace, Levoris. I hope I'm saying that right, or at least Burris. And welcome to the space. The mic is yours. Don't soapbox. Hope to have a good, productive, constructive conversation with you. How do you feel about Dr. Umar and what he said about Eminem? Burris, are you there?
That motherfucker ain't there, so yeah. Um,
All
let me
right,
speak.
well, Burris has been kicked back down to listener. And to people who want to participate in the conversation, we want to hear your thoughts. Burris, if I invite you back up here, I really hope you speak this time. So unmute your mic and welcome back to the stage. The mic is yours, Burris. Is it because I'm saying your name wrong? Is it Lavoris? I don't know. You won't unmute your mic. Dwan, you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
Nah, I just got him out of here. He can't. The nigga's name was Lavoris. That alone should have been our cue that he was weird. Who the fuck names themselves Lavoris? Sounds like a retired DMV worker. Miss Lavoris, can you come on over here and correct the birthday on this person's driver's license? Ain't that the name of the lady from Lean on Me, Miss Lavoris, Miss Levi, the lady who she resigned from Mr. Crump from the school? What's her name, Miss Lavoris or something like that? Fuck out of here, nigga. Anyway, back to what we saying. We talking about Eminem, and let's go in and talking about these. This is what I noticed. These are the kind of niggas that tend to to fall on the sword for Eminem. Usually, they like white women. There's usually the dudes that date outside the race. That's number one. You get they date outside the race. You get the black folks that, like, I think you mentioned earlier, Eve. You get these people who black folks who weren't raised in black neighborhoods. Their parents raised them in more suburban environments. Those are big Eminem fans. But them usually also the kind of niggas that are trying to act hard too, aren't they?
They really are. And that's why I think that they're Eminem fans. That's why this whole delusional, he worked hard for what he has,
But
is that's why it's so rampant with them. They didn't work hard
I'm
for what they had.
I'm gonna go another direction with it. Like, here's what I noticed a lot from people who were not raised in the hood of their city. Um these outside the loop of the city ass niggas. Most of them were raised and they identify black manhood. They identify blackness with these superficial with gangster rap of the 90s, you know? These people who, if you're from LA, a lot of these niggas started moving out to Pomona and the Inland Empire in the late 80s into the 90s. And then their parents are from the inner city, but they was raised in the outside. And oftentimes not even the rich neighborhoods. They were allowed to then move into these outer cities, you know? And they have this particular identity of or thought modality of thought of what they think blackness is, and they think blackness is basically what they seen on the news from their suburban homes, and what they hear on the radio from their suburban radios. And they take on the persona of that perception of what blackness is. And we see this a lot. And I used to see it all the time right here in Hollywood. When I would see these niggas, we'd be in the club. You knew when you saw an Inland Empire nigga coming in. They be trying to act a little bit too hard. Like, nigga, chill. You know? And a lot of these people, and I'm people that live in Houston can talk about those who live on the outer loop versus those who lived on the inner loop. And most of you down south cities got loop freeways. As an LA nigga, I must tell you, those loop freeways confuse the fuck out of me. I'll never forget my first time driving in Atlanta. This is before they had goddamn GPS, when you still had to pull out a map. I remember going where I need to go was north. I remember thinking, okay, I'm just gonna get on this freeway. I'm gonna get on this 85 and whatever freeway that was. I'm gonna get on this freeway and I'm gonna go north and I can get off. Next thing I know, the fucking freeway is turning. And I went from going north to going east. And I way the fuck over here, and I pulled out the map I got from AAA when I rented the car, and was like, "Yo, I thought I was gonna hit it going north." It was like, "Nah, you'd have had to get off on this road because the freeway turns." I was like, "What the? LA nigga, a north freeway goes fucking north. The 405 is north and south. The 10 is east and west. It don't go no fucking loop." So that shit confused the hell out of me. But you people who live in them cities with them inner loops and outer loops, y'all know what I'm talking about. It's a difference between the niggas raised in the inner loop of the city and those raised outside the loop of that city. Them be the main ones loving Eminem. It's like I'm still black and I'm gonna go extra hard on my blackness, but I've also been around these white folks, and I think that, and really quiet as kept, I low key think because I wasn't raised in the inner loop of the city, I'm better than you niggas who were. Is it just me? Is it just me? Is it just me? Or do y'all notice that too? I don't know if it's like that, if that's pervasive where you're from. Is that Eve?
Sorry, just giving pizza.
No, that's all good.
Yes, it is absolutely like that. And I think when the light is shined on it, people don't like to be exposed like this. Because if you've been claiming that you are from this certain area, but nobody's ever called you out on it because you haven't actually had to be in that area, well, you're safe. You kind of like a ghost. But then I think once we start talking about at least this specific music genre, right, where we're talking about how we talk about our life experience and what we've gone through, it it matters if you lived it or if you knew somebody who lived it. And I think that that comes out in the sound. And then these other people who they might have just been told about it, or maybe they did some research about it, you can hear that in their sound too. So um, these posers, and it's not even like poser. You got to be who you are. If you're a person where your parents did something where y'all were able to move from the hood to not the hood anymore, then why isn't that okay? Like, why do we have to compete backwards? And then if you're a person who's from this, well, okay, the hood to me is this imaginary place because they look different in all different cities. So, if you're from this imaginary hood place from wherever you are, then what's wrong with that too? Like I'm Dewan, I guess I'm kind of tired of us comparing our where we are in life because people aren't doing the same things. And then, things start getting skewed. But that's like a whole other conversation. So my bad for soapboxing, but this topic I think can go in a bunch of different directions if you think about it.
Yeah, it becomes this whole class war. And oftentimes the people who aren't from the hood think that they the main ones that can speak for black people. We see this all the time. from ESPN to CNN. They become the same way how 60 years ago it was the people from the big cities. They were better than the country folks. That was the fight 60 years ago. What you country bumpkins doing down there? Y'all know nothing. I'm from New York City. I'm from Chicago. I'm from I'm
Dwan, that's exactly my point. Because it's like there's no one way to be black, right? But we are all black. So inside of our blackness, you gotta be you, and then ride that to the best of your ability, because you are you. Ain't nobody else can be you but you. But it's like once we start saying that you're not as black, but then you're putting it on this negative stereotype. Like, why is it always that black is basketball or the hood or carry out, or just some shit that's not? Why isn't black instruments, or why isn't black art? You know
They
what I'm
never
saying?
say they never put guitar players, and they never say playing the guitar is black. When we're the mode of how that shit is done. See, that's the thing when it comes down to again these conversations like about uh this whole thing around like how we see each other as far as race goes. When going back to the Eminem topic, Eminem, yes, people I've noticed for the most part, the main people who fight against me saying I'm too black. You know what I mean? When it comes to Eminem, saying that, oh, you can't say he's not the greatest because he's white. Yes, the fuck I can. And I am saying that. And that, yeah, I can go deeper and I can give plenty of great reasons as to why he's not the greatest. But I'm going to start and stop with, no, he can't do it because he's white. And I stand on that. And I don't apologize. And I don't need none of these suburban niggas coming around telling me that I can't do that because it's not fair. Fuck you. No, yes, I can. And fairness has nothing to do with it. It's not fair that is it not fair that Eminem got pushed to the top of the heap? Is that not fair? The fact that he got pushed to the top of the heap and all those other black artists from Bilal to everybody else that was an aftermath that got shelved, Rakim, was it fair that all those black artists got shelved? So Eminem can get pushed to the front and get all of this major budget back behind him? Was that fair? Is it fair that a white man, just because he has a rhyme pattern you like and zero classics that you still bump 20 years later, is it fair that he gets pushed to the top 10 because he's white?
A
I mean,
rhyme pattern where he's rapping about doing some real fucked up shit. Like, come on. Full
and
circle, people. Go ahead.
it's a rhyme pattern. They bring up the rhyme pattern part. And when you come back with music, okay, what 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 do you still play now and sounds as good now as it did when it dropped? And even the most suburban of niggas can't say nothing. All that shit sound dated. So how does he get pushed to the front when you have plenty of Eminem had a hot little run? Artists had a hot little run. Difference is their hot little run still bumps today. Nigga, I don't care what you say about because the Loonies. If I got five on it, it's still getting played in TV shows and commercials to this day. Why can't they? Why can't Yugmouth be one of the goats, nigga?
I know old white people who sing and really like I Got Five on It for their own reasons. And I
Right,
don't know that they are rapping no Eminem songs. Just throwing
right.
that out there.
Because everybody, whether you smoke weed or drink beer, everybody done. The average American. I ain't talking about the rich folks. But the average American done had to piece up and pitch in on a party, and that's all. That's what I got five on it is, and everybody can relate to pitching in on the party, but everybody can't relate to saying "fuck you, mom." You see how they lower that bar?
Thank you. God damn. Go ahead.
But I do want to get to some of the hands.
We do have a few. Do you want to
Okay.
go with the person who was up at first and then, rotate them out with, or do you want to go with new speakers first?
I'm gonna go with who's there. If the internet, if you can make it quick, because you did speak already. If you can make it quick, put in first, but just make it quick, and then we'll get on to the new speakers.
Yeah, okay, yeah. The one thing I always do is I send them the mixtape with Eminem, you know, his racist mixtape that he put out. You send that to these people that like to defend him. But I wanted to speak on the thing about the living in the hood. What I noticed is, yeah, like a lot of these suburban Negroes who grew up around, white people all their lives, a lot of them tend to be more, coonish or whatever. But what I also noticed is there are people like myself who have grew up in the hood but was actually able to go to school. I went to first and second grade, where me and my brother were the only black people, and then high school because my mother didn't want us to go to public school in Philly, so she sent us to I used my great aunt's address to go to high school at a white high school. And what I've noticed is a lot of people who have had that same experience are the people who are part of our movement because we understand who this devil is and we know how they move, and so we're on to them. Whereas you got some people who grew up in the hood that don't have no experience around white folks, so when they become adults and they get around white folks and the white folks seem all nice and all this stuff like that, then they're quick to defend them. So yeah, you have a lot of people who grew up in the hood who are
Yeah,
also
you're right about
standoffish.
you're right about that. But thank you for that, because I want to keep it short. Because I want to get on to the next. I want to get on to everyone else. But yeah, you're right about that. Thank you. Who else was next?
We're gonna kick it to John Horse next, if that's okay.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, what's good, everybody? Hey, nah, yeah, Eminem. I'm not. Dr. Umar Johnson was completely right about Eminem. He's not in the top 10, top five, or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Now, don't get me wrong. He got like one song I like that I listen to when I go to the gym. That's Till I Collapse. But outside of that, you don't really have, nobody in the streets really sitting there saying, yo, put on that Eminem. You know what I mean? The streets dictate, you know what I'm saying, who in the top five and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Not what, you know what I'm saying, Billboard or Rolling Stone or anything like that gotta say, bro. Like it's the streets. The streets dictate what's popping and high in hip hop, period. That's how it's always been. So who care about what, you know what I'm saying, these journalists and all of these other, publications and stuff that's backed by all of these billions of dollars, what it is that they really gotta say. I remember on Twitter, bro, I made a post saying that Eminem doesn't have any influence or anything like that, bro. And literally it went viral, bro. And the white supremacists came out the woodwork targeting my page, bro. Why y'all ain't come back me up, cuz? Like them niggas was like spazzing, bro. Like literally, nigga, they was just tweaking. Tweaking it.
No, they definitely have alerts set for when Eminem is mentioned, the white people and the Eminem stands that look like you and me, because I've seen that in real time. Like they swarm, like like how the Beehive, the Bayhive, and Nikki's people. That I don't. These people just be online looking for you to say some shit so that they can say you need more people, because like you said where were we, like
Yeah.
I mean honestly it's so many, they do that so much, it's like to drown it out. So to your point, and I'm gonna let you finish, but I just really wanted to point this out. You said the streets dictate who's hot, and I agree with you, but what happens is these niggas, I'm sorry, the cowards in charge, the dominant society, as some people like to say it, or the white people who write shit down, they will write down Eminem as the greatest, right? And then in 50 years, when people are studying their textbooks, you'll have people like me and Dwan who are all old and shit trying to rewrite textbooks because they done wrote it wrong when they could just write it right the first time. But it's only gonna happen that way if we're on our square and making sure that they are, doing what they're supposed to do with the information. But go ahead. I wasn't trying to cut you off.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So it's like literally people come swarming. It don't matter if it's on Twitter. It don't matter if it's on Instagram. Instagram, I did the same thing. Niggas just come out of the woodwork. You know what I'm saying? Just spazzing. You know, and like the one said, like our greats, our top fives. You know what I'm saying? That we can literally play their music today. You know what I'm saying? And it's still gonna rock like it just came out. Same thing. Like for me, I like you know what I'm saying. Like I came up when I was in high school, Wayne was like the thing. You couldn't tell nobody that Lil Wayne wasn't you know what I'm saying had a crazy run and his influence on hip hop the way how he really had it. It's way you know what I'm saying way deeper than Eminem. You know what I'm saying? So our standards are the street standard is really high because people it's not just making about music about the streets. It's about making music about you know what I'm saying. I got to be able to hear you in a strip club. I got to be able to just listen to you when I'm just on the way to work. You know what I'm saying. Eminem don't really have stuff like that. So it's just one of those things where Dr. Umar is completely right. He's not wrong at all.
Agreed. For at least for this part of what he said, I think Dwan might have some other thoughts about the origins of hip hop because Umar was trying to give it to
Oh
Oh
everyone.
yeah,
yeah,
Umar.
But
yeah,
but for this one
yeah.
part, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
He right.
Let
we
me
can
let me
all
speak on that for
agree.
a little bit. Umar, they were trying to push the I even saw an interview where they gave Quincy Jones a talking point when he was talking to Kendrick Lamar about no rap is South African and Dinka tribe. And like, all right, if you can say that, just because another group around the world does something rhythmically that sounds like what we do, it doesn't mean they gave it to us, black people. See, America, and I love Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones is America's songbook. But Quincy Jones is also with them folks. We're not gonna hide that like he's not. He's always been. He's down with Oprah and Spielberg and the rest of the agenda pushers. So we gotta always remember that when Quincy Jones speaks, he's on the team. He's always been on the team of the agenda pushers. And then look at his children and his grandchildren and great grandchildren that are basically white. Because not only did he have a bunch of mixed kids, he obviously instilled those values into his children to where they went ahead and further on diluted the pool. And so you'd be hard pressed to find and no, this is no disrespect to Quincy Jones. I'm just talking about who we have talking. You'd be hard pressed to find a dark skinned grandchild or great grandchild of his. Most of his grandchildren, great grandchildren look like Julia Roberts. And I say that with respect because, hey, Julia Roberts is my cousin on my family tree. Go up 2 generations. Go up to my great granddad. My great granddad had his brother had a daughter who had a son. I mean, who had a daughter who had Julia Roberts. Yeah, black folks. But yeah, all it takes 2 generations, and look what happens. So Quincy is speaking to his grandkids when he's talking about that kind of shit. All right, we got to remember that he's speaking to his grandchildren, and that's fine. But we got to correct it to him because in order for me to prove something came from somewhere else, you have to show how it existed in that homeland and how it transported over here. You can't just say it transported over here. If I'm in anthropology and we're talking about if we're in a botany class, for an example, and we say, okay, this particular piece of cotton is from Egypt. You have to show the style and texture of that piece of cotton and what year it came over to this new land, who brought it, and when. Even if you don't know exactly who, you at least can give me a time period, and you can show how this is what came over here, and when it came over here, this is how influenced and the entity that already existed here. This is how that new entity that came in and changed and shaped the environment of the entity that already existed there and how it flowered out and influenced it. That's what I have to do on any basic anthropology 101 test. Any sociology report, any essay, any history thing that I'm putting together, anything that's going to be considered academic, I have to show and prove where it was transported. So yeah, the Ndike tribe in South Africa does have words that they rap that sounds that they say that sounds rhythmically like what we do when we're rapping. But when did South Africa anyone from South Africa bring that to America, and who did it influence? Even when we talk about the slave trade, for the few slaves, for the 380,000 or so slaves that came from Africa, none came from South Africa. So how can you prove that? You can't. It's just a nigga trying to give Africa credit for something they don't deserve credit for. Because the fact is, every corner of this planet has created a sound that's unique to that region. We as black folks, we ain't special. We are special, but we ain't special. We just created the sound of our environment. The same way people from Chile, their music is the sound of their environment, is a sonic interpretation of their environment. Just the people from Brazil, that's a sonic interpretation of their environment. Argentina, so on and so forth. You know, everybody around all four corners of the planet has invented some instrument that they've created to harmonize with the sound of their environment. No one just gets, like, people treat Africa like it's the fucking Guitar Center. Like, hey, let's all go to Africa, get something, and take it back home and do something with it. No, nigga. Africa created instruments that are native and mesh well with the African sound. Black Americans created instruments in the sound that vibrates with our frequency and our sound. And Black Americans in the South create a slightly different sound than Black Americans in the North, who create a slightly different sound than Black Americans in the West, who create a slightly different sound than Black Americans in the Midwest. That's just what it is. They are so quick to just say, hey, because something over there sounds good, they had Black Americans just had to get it from them. No, we created that shit. So Dr. Umar talking about some African, I always say this, okay, show me, show me, show me, show me, show me, show me the drum set in Africa before the 1940s. We all know we got official credit for inventing the drum set in 1896. So show me, play some African music with a snare, kick drum, hi-hat. Show me that in Africa in the 1940s and 50s. Show me that. That alone is different. African hand drum and a Black American drum set are completely different instruments. That's like saying a forklift and a Porsche are the same because they're both motor vehicles. Okay, all right. Yeah, if you're gonna go on the fact case that a forklift and a Porsche can both transport a human being from point A to point B, okay, I'll take that. But the function of a forklift and a Porsche are completely different. The function of the American drum set and African drums are just as much, just as far different as a forklift and a Porsche. The only thing they share in common is their vehicles. The only thing that a drum set and the African hand drums share in common is that they're drums. Everything else about how they're used in the music, to how they color the music, to how they paint the music, to how they drive the music, push the music, divide the music, everything else is completely different. Show me an electric bass guitar. Show me a bass guitar in Africa in the 1950s and 60s, 70s in African music. Show me the bass before Fela came over and saw what James Brown was doing. Before Fela came over and saw what James Brown was doing, show me a bass in African music. Show me staccato horn lines in African music. Nothing about our sound is African. It's our own twist on what we did that's unique to us with respect to Africa. But when you put everything that we invented on Africa, what you're doing is you're disrespecting us. And that's what I'm not going to take. I'm not going to take the disrespect. I'm not going to take the disrespect. I'm not going to. Because these are the same motherfucker. Umar, people like him, they're the same person to be like, when we came to America, you took our language. Oh, I thought everything was African. So how can you complain about them taking our language when isn't English just a derivative of an African language? If all language was invented in Africa, wouldn't English be a derivative of an African language? You don't call English African. You say, they took our language. No. That's African. If our music is African, then so is our language. English is African. It's a Germanic language. It's a Germanic language. Our script is a derivative of the Greek script, which is a derivative of the Medo Neter. The bottom line, go look at the Medo Neter of the Greek script.
Dwan, let's pause here real quick before you get to some more speakers. That's a huge point that needs to be made. Niggas don't know their story. Look, y'all, a lot of y'all don't know your story. You don't know our story. People like Dr. Clyde Winters would be a great resource to you because he's done a lot of the research already and he's still around. So, like, you can ask him questions about what he researched. And, I think that is beneficial. But to your point, people want to take 10,000 years and then mush it together like people want to mush 10,000 years. People want to mush 10,000 years to I think that is a it's a detriment to what we have going on because we are great and people know that all life started black. So we all have that common ground understanding. But then from there, the intricacies of how we got to these different places on the planet, it matters because like if people don't even know that like Mansa Musa came over this way in the 1300s and then they want to tell you that this nigga and all of these people just disappeared, then you're already missing a lot of how we've been able to go different places and be in different places. But these people have taken our story, burned a lot of it, rewritten more of it, and then people don't even want to read. So it's like we've got me and you and other learned people and people who care have all of this work to do because not only do we have to tell these niggas that they've been lied to, but we have to produce receipts and invoices because they don't believe us. So not only are we fighting them on Eminem's Not the Goat, right? Because you can't be the goat on something that you didn't create. Like if you want to say that there's a white person yodeler, like, can we give them yodeling, or is that ours too?
Hell no, we
Okay,
can't get
so
them
then
to
there you
yodeling.
go.
Hell
There you
no.
go. That was my whole point. Like, so if if you can't even give them some shit like yelling at the top of a mountain with some goats, like niggas, take your shit back, and then we can put everyone where they need to be. But are you afraid of power? Because that's what it's looking like. It looks like y'all niggas are afraid of power, and you want to just give it away to these people who can take care of you better than you can take care of you. What was that movie? It was like Uncle Tom's Cabin, where the enslaved guy was saying, I'm probably misquoting the wrong movie, but he was basically like he'd rather still be a slave because it's gonna be hard work. And I know that it was just a movie, but that's a real sentiment. People don't want the power because of what comes with it, like we talked about earlier. They want this shared responsibility for when things go wrong, but that comes with you have to share the goods when things go right. And why do we have to share it all? Like, aren't y'all comfortable knowing that this is yours, nobody can take it, we can keep it, and then do what we want with the thing that makes everybody money, which is acting like us, doing our stuff, and then benefiting from it. So yeah.
Niggas so be quick to be like, talk to complaining about what they took from us and to give up power and to be like, we don't have a culture. And then the minute we start explaining our culture, Dr. Umar, you say that's African. Which one is it? We don't have a culture. They took it. It's African. What is it? Because he's a doctor. He should know better. I'm sure he's taken sociology and anthropology classes before. In order for something to be proven that is their culture, they got to prove where and how it existed and what form it existed and when it came over here to us. So what is it? Do we not have a culture? What is it? And if it is an African culture, why is it not expressing that way in Africa? Why don't we take turns with Africa with having the most dominant music on the planet? Why isn't okay in the 1920s African music was the most dominant, But in the 1930s, American music took over. And in the 1940s, African music took over with some new sound. No, time and 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 time again, it's black music, black American music. And the proof to cultural dominance, like I said before, and I'm going to get to you, FBA, in 1 second. The sign of cultural dominance is you sit down your cultural traditions and you pick ours up. That is a sign and evidence of cultural dominance. We don't have to talk about it. We ain't got to say nothing. There's nothing that needs to be said to show. Only thing that needs to show is, okay, if you're so powerful, why is it when your music and our music intersected for the first time through someone like a Fela Kuti, why is it James Brown didn't find anything to take from Fela? And there's no disrespect from Fela. Why is it that War, when they met Bob Marley early on in the 70s, why didn't War do anything Bob Marley was doing? Bob Marley he was doing War, get up, stand up for your rights. That's the same thing as the hook on Cisco Kid. Dun 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 dun. That was War. No, Slipping in the Darkness. That's just go get it. Slipping in the Darkness. Slipping in the darkness. Dun 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 dun. Oh, Bob Marley heard that and said, "Get up, stand up for your rights." Why is it the influence starts going in one direction? Why is it when we come with our instruments and our sound, our harmonies, our melodies, you guys keep them and take them, and it changes your music forever? Yeah, every now and again, a black artist may do a song in the sound of your native sound. They may play within your genre for a song or two, and then guess what? On to the next album. Back to what we do. What you, what we learn while we're with you. We're on to the next. We're not keeping that for the next album. But you, on the other hand, when you come across our music, now you keep it for the next album. That becomes the sound of your country. Hmm. FBA, uh, Trey, Day, it's on you.
What up, Big Juan? What up, Just Eve? Man, that Eminem's the GOAT shit. Man, fuck that shit. They've been pushing that shit on my generation since I was like 9 and 10 when that first goofy ass song came out. Hi, my name is. I hated that shit even when I was 9. But I remember like in 2004, a nigga dropped some album, and I had just moved back to Louisville, Kentucky, my hometown from Atlanta. And it was these three white boys was in my class, redneck ass white boys. Never listened to rap a day in their motherfucking life. And these motherfuckers came to my locker one morning talking about, "Hey Dre, did you get the new Eminem album?" I'm like, "What the fuck? No, I ain't get that shit. When did you niggas start listening to rap?" And just just seeing that, I'm like, man, these motherfuckers just rally around him because he's white. And then I remember like a year or two later, I was watching this MTV countdown where they were showing the top 10 rap artists. They had Tupac at number 2, and then like number 1, they had Eminem, and they based all that shit on album sales. Like, and come and get it number 1, Eminem outselling all other artists. And I'm just like, oh, so y'all about to use this to try to legitimize this white boy. And I was like, shit, 13, 14 at the time. I wasn't even conscious or whatever, but I saw what the fuck they was doing. And just dude, in the 2000s, whites constitute over 70% of the population. We're 12%. So you motherfuckers wanted a representative in our culture so bad, and when y'all got it, y'all rallied around them for racial reasons, not because of any legitimacy on the mic. Y'all only did that shit for racial reasons. And because I saw that at an early age, I'll never accept that. I'll never accept him as legitimate. Because I know that, what the deal is. Y'all outnumber us fucking 4 or 5 to 1. So it's like, I love 12%. If we have an artist that, we really fuck with or whatever, he might do well at, with our 12% supporting him, but he's not gonna do as commercially well as a population 7 times bigger than ours supporting them. I mean, it's just math. So when I see all these comments in the XXL magazine, oh Eminem, yeah man, he outsells everybody. Yeah, the youth really love him, bitch. Y'all motherfuckers put so much promotion behind that white boy, it don't make no fucking sense. And it's like, no, I'm not. I'll never support that shit. You gotta be like a motherfucker only motherfuckers under the age of 25 don't know all the fucking media hype they put behind that white boy. They don't know that shit. I saw it. I
Yeah,
saw
you're
it.
right. And like people don't understand album sales. There's a direct correlation between marketing and pushing an album sales. Like between what's pushed and that. And I mentioned this earlier on my YouTube. I did before this. When Eminem came out, he was given the platform by Jimmy Iovine, one of the 5 most powerful men in music. Jimmy Iovine controls the money. Dr. Dre is a beat maker, but you got the greatest beats of all time. Again, I still want to hear that Dr. Dre Rakim album. Why did that never drop? That was so highly anticipated. Oh, but if it dropped, it would drop around the same time as Eminem, and people had a choice. Do I buy this Eminem? Do I buy this Rakim? Do I buy this all them other projects that Dre had at Aftermath at the time? Dre had so many artists that he shelved in those 2000s. Not only did Eminem not get shelved, he got the highest of highest promotion. He got, every time he walked into the record store, his face was up there. He got put on the radio 3 times an hour. Everywhere you looked, it was Eminem, 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 Eminem. He had the resources of the industry behind him, and he's white. Time has proven, time and time and time again, that when it takes being white. When it comes down to music, if you look back into the 60s and 70s, you have all this music. Motown struggled like the Dickens to go #1. When You Better Shop Around dropped by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, it was a white artist that went #1. Same with Dancing in the Street, all those beautiful songs by the Supremes. You go back and look at a lot of the charts in the 60s, Motown would always end up coming in #2 or #3. It was always Pat Boone or some white boy that was #1. But what happens when you look back 60 years? You don't know the names of them white folks that went #1 over Motown. But you still hear the fucking Temptations played on TV commercials all the goddamn time to sell white products. So what does #1 really mean? You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that those numbers are manufactured. That's #1. Two, even when they do go there, when you have that level of promotion behind every word that you put out, of course you're going to go. Because when your album gets put out, it's going to be #1 thing that you see on Tidal and Spotify and iTunes. It's going to be right there in front of your face. You're going to get the emails. You're going to see the billboards. And all of that costs money. And it's the people who are in Jimmy Iovine's position at the record labels that decide where the money's distributed. It's them. It's the Jimmy Iovine. People talk about Dre. It's not about Dre when it comes to Eminem. It all goes back to Jimmy Iovine. Dre didn't discover Eminem. Jimmy Iovine did, and marched his tape to Dre's office and said, "You're going to produce him." And then going back to the Hot 97 story, when he gets a chance to perform at the concert, he gets paid, and he gets his some additional resources to push his sound, while Ludacris and all the other black artists got to get pushed into got to get shoveled into the same pocket of resources. You got 10 rappers pulling from one bucket of money from RCA or whatever the distributor is, the marketer is, and Eminem get unlimited resources. All of that stuff plays into album sales, and they understand this. Rolling Stone magazine understands this. XXL magazine, all these publications understand that. But that's how motherfuckers go to maintain their position as #1, showing you their inherent racism. They know the books have been cooked, and they still use that as the reason why we're going to put him at #1. And so that's why, me as a black person, I'm getting to the next speaker. But that's why it comes to me as a black person. No, yeah, Eminem is not #1, and him being white is the main reason. Is the main reason. Yeah, exactly. If you don't like it, yo bad. Go tell your people to treat my people, and we'll talk about it later on. Go tell your people to acknowledge how my people influenced them and made them who they are. And when that becomes a regular part of the conversation, when that gets put into the history books, when I see movies being written about the black people who inspired your favorite white person, and them giving 100% credit without having a white savior role in the movie, when y'all start behaving that way after a decade or so, I may reconsider my position. But until I see an extended effort of you motherfuckers telling the story the way it's supposed to be told, which means telling the truth, the whole truth, not a half truth, not lies of omission. Until you behave that way, fuck you and how you feel. That's just how I feel about it. But I'm gonna kick it back to you, Eve, because you're paying attention to who's next. Later down one more time for the
Yeah,
state
no, I
groups.
got you.
Go
But
ahead.
I have the order. Um, Yeah, peace to the room. Thank y'all for joining us for this very important conversation. If you're new to the room and to the spaces, and because I've been checking the comments, so to the people who are kind of butthurt in the comments about not being able to speak right now, if you just wait your turn, you will be able to speak. And we're not even saying that you can't come back up and speak. We're just saying you can't talk for as long as you like. We might talk for a long time, but it's our space. And I just think that that's space etiquette, don't you? Okay, so that's just my thought on that. You're more than welcome to come back up or to grab a mic. We would love to hear your thoughts because there's a lot of niggas out here who are caping for Eminem. Like, if you look in the comments, somebody said, Dwan, that we're just talking about this because we want clicks. Like, it didn't just happen. Like, it's not like this wasn't just in the news. We're talking about something that is in real time. And to my main point, if we don't talk about it in 50 years, in 100 years, our kids, minis, our grand minis are going to be learning that Eminem was the GOAT. And we could have done something in real time, but no, we're going to have to do something at our old ass ages about rewriting some textbooks. Fuck that. No. Okay. That's just my thought. I'm just Eve. Um, and I think we're going to go to our sister Miriam next. And yep, sis, the mic is yours. Go ahead.
Thank you, beloved. How are you this evening, sis?
Doing great. It's a wonderful evening.
Awesome. And you too, brother Dewan B. Thank you as always, beloved, bringing the most um, important topics to the forefront when we're dealing with these culture vultures, interlopers who steal not only our music and intellectual properties, as well as, they are into manipulating and stealing our history. They've always buried and lied about our history. Now they're straight up doing the erasure agenda by stealing our history, doing this critical race theory bullcrap, and trying to rewrite it. Prague and others that they have with these big white think tanks. To the topic, was Dr. Umar Johnson right about Eminem? Yes, he was. He was very correct on that. But he also was very wrong in trying to steal our identity and give our musical culture over to African identity with that pan scammering, um, ideology and mentality, grifting. He always have to throw his main grift in there, which is pan-fakeism. I don't care who gets insulted about it. We're going to call it for what it is because it's always was a one-sided relationship. And we all know if you got any sense, a grain of sense in your head and got eyes and ears to see, that's a failed project. Put it like that. And to what you were saying, brother Dewan B, when Fala was doing what he was doing, you're right. He didn't influence James Brown. James Brown's influenced him, and War influenced the hell out of Bob Marley and many others. And when Kendrick Lamar and Quincy Jones was talking, they too sit up there, as you were saying, he was educating that young brother wrong by talking about South Africa. We get our sound from that. Oh no, we are a whole different, ball of wax. We have a whole different phenotype, culture, sound, food, everything, religion, spiritual belief, phenotype. Um, as Sister Eve also was saying, because you both said so many wonderful, beautiful, factual facts that um, all life started black. Africa is known as the seat of life, not necessarily civilization, but of life. It germinated the whole planet at one time, thousands upon thousands of years ago, 10, 20, 30, 40,000 years ago. We all developed, there's indigenous people all over this planet that developed who they were, where they were, about their own culture, their own language, their own spiritual belief, their own phenotype, um, um, ethnoism had happened, which means you evolve and take on your own ethnicity, identity, become your own people with your own set of values, spiritual beliefs, and reality. And hitting back to the music, you are so correct, Brother Dewan B, when you said Jimmy Iovine and people like Clive Davis, these are your purse strings. These are the people who truly manipulate and tell you, no matter how talented and how great you are, they can manipulate your course, whether you'll be shelved, played for a minute, or become mainstream. We all know that the machine is all these people who do not look like you and I, even if it's a few that do look like you and I, they're major puppets. Or their hands are tied. They can't move the way these men do because they are the money. They have the say so, and they have the means to push any artist forward that they want to. That's why you have Eminem, Taylor Swift, this other little dude they trying to say is the king of pop, little white dude that like to wear dresses. I can't remember his name.
Right, right.
You
If
know,
we don't do something, Miriam, that the history books, like we're not people. Somebody earlier was talking about we need to be racist against them for a month. Like we need to just have this one big push of being racist against everybody else. And like I feel you, I feel that, but it's like we don't even have that power right now to do something like that. So then from there, it would just seem better or easier to just relay the facts, right? And make sure everybody is talking about the truth. Speak truth to power. I think that's a move, but those are just my thoughts. And I didn't mean to interrupt your thoughts, but we do got a couple hands, but go ahead.
oh no, I enjoy having the conversation, because that's what a true conversation is is, or debate is. You have your different thoughts or whatever, and to feel free to chime in because we all have wonderful input to put in, and to finish off because we do have other hands. As I was saying about the propaganda, we know about the machine and the propaganda in this industry. No matter what art form you're performing, there's always the puppet masters and the people who hold the purse strings. So we can never expect for our open oppressors or enemies to tell our story. It's important that we push our own stories, our own narratives, and tell our history. Because as Sister Eve just so pointedly said, and Brother Dewan B said, 50 years, 25 to 50 years from now, they'll have POCs and suspected white supremacists telling our story because that's what critical race
We
theory is
gotta,
about.
yeah,
Yes.
you're right about that, man. We gotta watch against that. I appreciate that. I wasn't looking. I see we got a hell of a lot of people over that got their hands up. I want to get to y'all, so don't leave out the room saying you didn't get a chance to speak on no whole shit. We'll give you a chance to speak, but please, I don't mind Sister Miriam speaking a little bit longer. Yeah, hey, it's my fucking rule. But everyone else, 2 minutes or less for your comments, please. 2 minutes or less. When it comes close to 2 minutes, I'm gonna jump in like a game of double dutch. You know what I mean? But hey, nice comment. Yeah. So just let you know. Let you know. Anyone else that speaks. So, but you're right about that, man. We just, our cultural it seems that this is to me. I just look at this whole thing. I just sort of watch, but at the same time, I'm writing the history because I lived it. You know, I study history and I also live it. And I'm in the unique position of when Eminem came out in the late '90s, early 2000s. I was already a few years in to me studying the history of music. Just being inquisitive. And when Eminem dropped, I was in college taking music history courses. I'm also though something I never really dropped. I never really dropped on y'all. I actually took like when I was in undergrad, and when I went to a junior college before I went to a 4-year college. I left my junior college. I only needed 60 units to transfer. I transferred with like 110 units because I was taking classes because I just wanted to know some shit. And a lot of those, like I only had one. I only had one transferable elective in music history. I ended up taking like 5 music classes. Only one of them was a transferable class. I'm just fucking like that. You know what I mean? Then once I got into my 4-year study at Cal State Northridge, I went through and got my 4-year degree. But my 2 years, nigga, I was in 2-year college for 4 years, nigga, just taking classes because I wasn't quite sure what the fuck I wanted to do, and I was learning a little bit of everything. So that's so Eminem, when I was taking all those random ass music history classes, he's hot right at that time. This is when Forget About Dre drops. This is when Lose My all that shit dropped in the middle of my studies on history, and I'm seeing this shit. I'm like, wow, wow. And at the moment I'm studying Pat Boone and how he was a fraud, I'm seeing Eminem drop right in front of me. The moment I'm studying who all the people Elvis took from and stole from, Eminem is happening right in front of me. The moment I'm saying, well, you get the picture, you get the point. Eve, kick it back to you, then whoever the next speaker is.
Let's just keep it moving. Let's go to K Truth Be Told. Are you there? K Truth Be Told.
Can I be heard? Can I be
Yep.
heard?
Yes.
Can I be
Yep.
heard?
We can
All right,
hear you.
bet.
Go ahead.
I'll make it real quick, real short. I'm kind of laughing at the whole situation, at the fact that this Eminem situation is becoming such a big thing, considering this always happens to our music anyway. Every time we get a good group, good music coming out in an era or movement or something, they will always come up with a white person to counter off anything that we're doing. You get new kids on my jock and stuff like that. They were here to specifically try to outsell New Edition. Didn't work. We got Justin Timberlake off of that. Justin Timberlake did what? Nothing. Just like back in the day, and my mom and stuff, Todd, they had Bobby Caldwell and a couple other white boys that were singing some rhythm and blues. And every time they do that, they want to say that these people are the best.
Blue-eyed soul is what they called it.
Blue-eyed soul, right? And the fact that they keep doing that, and at this point in time, I'll call it like it is, underground to commercial. I mean, I'm a '70s baby, so understand when your music came out off the top, hip hop, it was underground. You had street cred. If we caught you even, we call it Kool-Aiding your lyrics and doing some stuff so you can get the extra paper to go commercial. You stayed commercial. We didn't really, if you had some underground scenes and stuff like that, nobody really started coming because they all knew you went commercial. They all knew you switched sides. And I mean, me personally, I'd rather listen to the Beastie Boys before I listen to fucking Eminem. And I will put MCA, which is the white boy from the Beastie Boys, up with Eminem any day, because I just don't think Eminem has skills like that. Being a dude that my main three, KRS-One, Ice Cube, E40. In those lyricist situations, come on, man. To me, Eminem sounds like third base. There ain't nothing about him that's spectacular. There ain't nothing about him that says that he's outdone anybody black. I'll even go one farther than that and slap him with. I'll deal with him with Kid Frost on some mess like that. He's.
Yeah,
I just don't get where they're trying to say. I mean, yeah, I get the white boys always looking for a great white hope and shit like that, but to see this fool like you were not great at nothing but biting and sucking niggas' butts. That's it. Because other than that, bro,
and on
I
top of
see
that, he's great at writing a Dr. Dre beat. Who is it?
only. And if it
So
wasn't for that, he'd be done. And we laughed at that when he
exactly.
first came out about that. Like, oh, if it wasn't for Dre, the nigga wouldn't have nothing. Because who
Yeah,
else is
see,
making beats at the time?
Snoop was able to, and thank you for that. I'm moving on to the next speaker, but thank you for that.
Yep.
Yeah, Snoop hit real hard with Dre, but Snoop still kept pumping out good ass music without Dre. Yeah, this shit with Pharrell. Nigga, Rhythm and Gangster? What? I don't know what none of y'all say. I personally, I like rhythm. I like blue carpet treatment more than I like doggy style. That's just the truth. I'm gonna tell you, and I fucks with the last meal before over doggy style. When he went with Master P for that album, the last meal. That's my favorite Snoop album. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, yeah, he was great with Drake, but he's also great with other people. You know, Eminem. Now his music outside of Dre, did it sell? Of course, he's right. He got pushed #1. He of course he sold, of course. But does anybody listen to anything Eminem at 2 weeks after it dropped? If it ain't a Dre beat with Nate Dogg on the hook and Snoop and everybody else features, does anybody listen to it 2 weeks after it dropped? You can kick to every next.
Let's go to Little Low Nose. Are you there, Marlo?
Yeah. Is my audio good? Does it sound janky?
Nope,
Okay.
you're good. No janky.
Just going with Trey said, I'm 25 and I was there when Eminem was.
I can't hear. I don't know if you can hear you, but I can't hear them speak.
Dwan, can you hear me?
I hear you, but I don't hear them.
All right, Little Low. I'm gonna just drop you down real quick and then bring you right back up. All right,
Yeah.
Doctor No, are you there?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, Miss Eve. How you doing this evening, Brother Dwan B?
Yes.
Doing all right, Dwan? Can you hear him?
You guys are right on it. They always have done that, because I can go back a little further. When they had the Temptations, then they want to come out with the Beatles. When they Jackson 5, they want to come out with the damn Osmonds. You had here in Houston, when they came out with this guy Pow Wow at the Swish House Clique. You know, he was acting like he was all down, but here today, Pow Wow done turned back white. I never support these white artists because for one, all they do is go up there and say things, but they don't create the beats. The black people create the beats, and they just get up there and kind of rhyme to it a little bit. And so, like, I just don't understand why black people feel as if in order for them to get over the top, they always have to institute or bring in some white person. Then in the end, the white person goes up and you go down. I just don't understand it. And I'm just hoping that maybe somehow you guys can get these people to start creating our own songs again. Get off this AI stuff. Get back into the studio. Let your creative juices flow, and go create some more rap. Or what do you want to call it? Woke rap or delineation rap, whatever you want to call it. But we need to get back into the studio and start creating our own rap once again. And I thank you, brother Dwan B, for your knowledge. You know what I'm saying, on music and things. I really appreciate you, man. This space is really needed. And I thank you again, brother. I'm going to land my plane. Thanks again.
All right, that's what's up. That's what's up. Thank you for those words, Doctor No. Little Low, are you there?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, we'll talk,
Can you
brother.
hear me
I'm
now?
sorry, I thought I was on mute. But go ahead.
Hello?
Dwan, can you hear him though?
Yeah, I hear him. I hear him now. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. I'm just going to piggyback off what Trey said. Like, I'm 25, so I was literally growing up at the time when Eminem came out. And this is just based off my experience. It was light skinned dudes that was just bringing it to me. Like, oh, have you seen Eminem and stuff like that? I was like, nah. Then my first song I ever witnessed of Eminem was Kim, literally hanging up his girlfriend or wife wherever he was at the time at a concert and stuff like that. Just me as a child, that was just like, that was kind of corny. Like, dad listened to Jay-Z, Jada and all this, and this white boy is doing stuff like this at concerts was just like, this is who you listen to? So I never really considered Eminem in top 10 of anything. At best, he got good lyrics. At worst, he just raps really fast and everybody's just fascinated about it. Um, really never really cared for the guy. Never really listened to any of his music unless it was like gossip, like recently. But I'm not gonna go on a long tangent. I appreciate you putting me up in here, Dewan. I appreciate what you do. You gave me you gave me puzzle pieces to our history that I always wanted on the musical side, and Tariq give the other side to me. I just want to shout you out. Appreciate it. I'm going to donate to your project as little as I can, and that's all I gotta say.
Much love and appreciation. Yes, sir. Um, so That's why, when it comes, that's why we gotta have these conversations ahead of time because we got like no one of us has all the information. Because matter of fact, we got way too much information out there for any one person to hold and possess it all. We gotta constantly be having these conversations, constantly be learning, constantly be researching, constantly be telling the truth like it is. Because I think that we built something worth standing for. And I'm gonna stand for it. I appreciate my grandmother on both sides, my grandfathers, my great grandparents that passed me down and handed me this culture. I love them for that, man. I don't know about y'all, but talk about some ancestors. That's nothing. The Hotep niggas be like, oh yeah, we need to give love to our ancestors, and they go right into ancient Africa, and that's fine. That's cool. But what about your ancestors that got their ass whooped 4 generations ago? What about them? See, to make it very clear for anyone that's out there who are wondering my motives, I'm very upfront and clear with my motives. I'm honest with what my get down is. I love and respect my ancestors, Black American ancestors, and this is my work for them. And I also love children. I don't have any. 25 plus years working with children and teaching children, tutoring children, seeing the connection between lack of cultural pride and lack of self esteem and behavior. How we treat one another as people is directly correlated to our lack of cultural esteem, lack of cultural identity and continuity. That's why we can shit on each other but love a white person like Eminem. That's why Eminem is part of this discussion. You can have a black artist that write, produce, engineer, make classics that still sound as good today as it did 30 years ago, and then you'll hear a fucking nigga say, "Well, yeah, that's all cool, but Eminem is still top five. You got to put him at top five, man. What other white rapper is it?" So you gonna kick out all these other niggas so you can shoehorn in a black white rapper. That's what you telling me. All that shit comes from a lack of group and group esteem. But so I'm not the kind of person that goes around arguing with other people saying you need to treat us better. Like no, the condition, everything has a cause and effect relationship. The effect is lack of group esteem, which plays out into a lack of good behavior towards one another. And we don't treat each other right. We treat other groups better than we treat ourselves. But the cause is a lack of knowledge and awareness and understanding of who you fight the effects. That's not what you do. You don't fight back at an effect. That's like trying to dodge a bullet after you got hit in the chest with it. You got to find a way to make sure that gun don't get fired, or make niggas aware of when that gun is coming. They can get the fuck out the way and don't get shot. And how you do that is by instilling group and self esteem. These are the things that you actually did in your history, your family, your cousins, your bloodline, your great granddaddy, your great grandmother. Somebody was a part of this, if not all of them. They helped build this culture. Your great granduncle may not have been the musician, but he may have been the one in the juke joint, putting together that dance that got passed down. You know what I mean? He may have been that preacher. Everything we learn is in church. James Brown talks about how he got all of his dance moves and his filler day, all that stuff. He got that from church. You know what I mean? We have a very strong and rich culture that we have here, and we got to be able to point out how the fact that the things that we do every day when we minding our own black ass business influences the world. And the more of us that understands our cultural impact, the impact that we had not only on ourselves but how positively we've affected the world, then it'll be impossible to have a low group esteem. The one-to-one correlation is going to be a higher sense of group and a higher sense of self. And how a higher sense of group plays out is you tend to be more compassionate for your group when you have a higher understanding of your group. You tend to have a little bit more understanding when shit go wrong. You tend to be less tolerant of outside forces that try to steal from your group also. So for all you powder puff ass niggas that are wondering why I'm going up on Eminem, because Eminem is he's the white horse. He's the Trojan horse. He's the shining example of everything else that we're talking about. We can use him and put him in. I could teach a whole class 365 days a year on how Eminem and how he's perceived plays out throughout and prevails through different segments of American society. All of the segments of American society, and how our lack of group esteem plays into this because we allow others to steal from us because we feel that we don't have anything worth valuing. We allow motherfuckers to say that. Look what happened with rap. Rap wasn't shit. Like somebody made that point earlier. Rap wasn't shit. Wasn't nobody fucking with rap. It was jungle music. It was ghetto music. It was everything. Rap was everything other than anything decent. And they was talking about rap like this back in like 91, 92, before it got crazy, grotesque with it. They was talking about rap as if it was the worst thing in society when Public Enemy was number one. When the militant music was number one, they were saying rap is the worst thing ever. People didn't even take time to listen to the lyrics. They shit. I remember when Death Certificate came out. They shitted on that album, saying it's gangster, it's promoting violence. And I remember all the grown people talking about how Death Certificate by Ice Cube was promoting a gangster lifestyle. It was promoting violence, and it was promoting degeneracy within Black America. Then you turn around and listen to Death Certificate. He got a song called "Us." How we do it to how we be shooting each other up at a goddamn concert over bullshit, and how niggas be having a bad heart condition, still eating hog maws and chitlins. You know, a forensic analysis of what's going on with our society. In the song "Summer Vacation," he did talk about drug dealing, but at the end, he said, at the end of your summer vacation, when you done dealing drugs, you're either gonna end up dead or in jail. The whole album was talking about, what's going on in our society, what's going. It was a more updated, modern version of "What's Going On" by Marvin Gaye. It was it was an anthropological breakdown of the current society of Black America in 1991. But in 1991, it was perceived as jungle music and all that shit. All that was going on, and then a minute a white boy sells a few albums. Oh, all of a sudden hip hop is good. Everything's fine with hip hop. And matter of fact, he's the greatest of it. Fuck out of here. You only allow that shit when you got a low code, when you have a low group esteem. But as we understand that we have something of value, our music is America's number one export. Think about it. America don't make tools anymore. China makes all the tools. America don't make even the cars. Fucking cars are made in goddamn Mexico. Everything is. We don't make nothing here in America no more. But what we do make is good music. And then the white folks capitalize on it, put it on their platforms, and stream it across the fucking planet, and make trillions and trillions of dollars off of our thoughts and emotions. We ain't even got to go digging no fucking dirt to get resources for this fucking country. All we do, we got to sit down, smoke a blunt, take some mushrooms, and let spirit download something divine within us. Go lay that shit on wax. Then here come these white boys making trillions and trillions of dollars on it, and we give it away freely because we just having fun. We having a good time. We give it away. We don't value it. And then when they come along, and then you have niggas that's coming along, and tethers too. There's a lot of tethers that love the Eminem shit too. And they freely give this motherfucker number one, knowing that these motherfuckers' track record, they don't share. They dominate. These motherfuckers have no track record of sharing shit. If they can't own total domination at the top number one, they act like the shit don't exist. They call it rock and roll. Most niggas don't even know R&B came out first, and rock and roll was a sped up derivative of R&B that was controlled by black people and dominated by black people up into the 19 from the 40s through the fucking 60s. And then when the 60s come along, you get a couple of Europeans that come over, British bands come over, and now all of a sudden it's white, and they could put them faces up there because I guarantee goddamn to you, if we held on to Sister Rosetta Tharpe being the queen of rock and roll, if we held on to Muddy Waters, if we held on to Little Richard and Chuck Berry, if we held them as the icons of rock and roll, that shit would not be called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It would be called the motherfucking Waltz or motherfucking Yodeling or Bluegrass Hall of Fame. It would not have the label rock and roll. Only reason why it has a lot of the label rock and roll is because in the 60s we allowed them to have it. We gravitated more towards Motown and the funk sound. But what happened? they could never take over funk. So what happens with that? They act like funk don't fucking exist. I was watching that goddamn Thriller 40 documentary. That Thriller 40 thing, it was a great documentary, by the way, from Michael Jackson, Thriller 40. But they went into complete detail on um, Beat It and how much of a rock and roll song that is. And they have the white rock and roll guitarists that played on that song, the white rock and roll keyboardists that played on that song. And they went into great great detail on Beat It's connection to rock and roll. But when it came to Billie Jean, they gave one mention of funk. They said the song is kind of funky. They didn't draw for the listener no comparison to funk when it came to goddamn Billie Jean. All the way straight up funk. On the one, Louis Johnson on the bass, with that eighth note walk that only a black funky ass bass player with thick ass thumbs can do. You had the swing with the accent on the one, James Brown style accent on the one, pop it on the two, and it actually had a 1-2 swing like a Rick James swing. Quiet as kept. Beat It had a strong Rick James 1-2 swing to it with the one and the two on the drums, all the way funk, all the way funk from how it's played, from the musicians used. They didn't even make mention of Louis Thunder Thumbs Johnson on that fucking album. They mentioned the white boy that programmed the bass line for Thriller, but how the fuck do you not mention Louis Thunder Thumbs Johnson? Oh, that's all. Now you got that's fixing. Oh, now you got to bring in the funk element. Oh, now you got to bring in the LA sound and how strong LA means to music. The other thing, we LA niggas don't really talk about how strong we are. Our music is just as dope as Detroit, New Orleans, and everybody else. We just kind of chill when it comes to that. But that's a whole nother topic. They act like the parts that Black Americans created doesn't exist, even when showing love to a Black American. You see how that shit worked? They didn't even mention PYT, another funk song, on the one. They didn't mention that goddamn song, but they sure did mention The Girl Is Mine with the white boy, didn't they? The weakest song on that goddamn album. The girl is mine. Fuck out of here, nigga. You don't mention PYT? But no, it's still a good documentary, but that goes to show you how it works. Even the shit that they can't claim, they act like it don't exist. Even when on the surface level giving praise and acknowledgement to a Black person. They did not mention James Brown in that documentary and how much the funk played in Michael Jackson's music. They sure did mention that rock and roll, didn't they? That's because they can put a white face on it. And that's what they're trying to do with rap and hip hop, Eminem. And I'm not gonna let none of you cornball niggas give them that opportunity. All right, E, go ahead then.
I think people get confused because they'll sit in our spaces and hear us say that hip hop is dead. And that means that it's for everybody else. And that's wrong. Um, if somebody in your family dies and then you bury them, you're not giving them away. You're putting them in a place that's appropriate. And then maybe you go check them out from time to time. Definitely don't forget about them because, it's yours. And that's how people can come and take over your shit is when you stop talking about it. So, um, I'm glad we continue these conversations because people can get some clarity when we're saying that some sounds have evolved and we're kind of past that as a people. Not that people aren't still making those sounds, but just collectively, people are doing different things, getting back into instruments and all sorts of experimental uh, sounds. I'm going to come up with a better word for sounds because now I'm tired of hearing myself say sounds. It's on to Miriam, and then our brother Different came up on stage. So go ahead, Miriam.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Brother Dewan B just truly spoke volumes. I don't know if people really was hearing him though. And then what you just added on, it complemented it well. Um, as I was saying when I first left out from the first time I spoke, We can never expect for our story to be told by our open enemies, no matter what they look like. And for the person who was suggesting that, why don't we be racist for a month? That's kind of like an oxymoron. We can never be racist because number one, we don't have the power, and we're not. It's never been that petty. Now we could have our own dislikes. We could be have a bigotry, which meaning a dislike, and you choose your own or your own, culture or whatever. But yeah, when you talk about why, or a person say, why do we, or we talking about hip hop and there's so many other things going on. Well, let me tell you something. Our culture, and let's be real, the music, entertainment, acting, anything dealing with our intellectual properties, anything that comes from the deep inside of us and we put it out as an expression should be protected, because you have these culture vulture cosplaying others out here who pretty much are equivalent to a body snatcher. They emulate our culture, they copy our culture, and that's everything from food to music to acting to writing to even our inventions that they've been stealing since day one. Yes, we know that they've been taking music and you know um putting it under their belts for their own. But we cannot stop. We did not gatekeep properly in the past. So now we are gatekeeping because it is a great erasure factor. We didn't realize that at first. We are more conscious of that. We have an understanding that our children won't know that we created all these beautiful music genres. They won't know most of what went down in history because music is the soundtrack to our lives. That is no joke, because you could do everything from antebellum slavery to when you had the Jubilee or the gospel to blues, when we were in the cotton fields and after cotton fields, to rhythm and blues, which is R&B, um when we were getting into appreciation and love for one another, and our black power movement, the late 60s through the 70s, the flower child era. We were appreciating, celebrating, and standing and fighting and taking our rights and defining who we were. And then your 80s, when you had even hip hop, when it was more underground and raw when it first came out, it was a very rebellious music against bucking this government, bucking the police. And that is definitely what NWA did. That is definitely what um, um, Ice T did. And X Clan and even Queen Latifah, all of them, when they all first came out, they had a more mindset of buck this government, self love, freedom of expression, what's going on in the communities, all the way up to dead prayers and poor righteous teachers, etc. So why we're addressing Eminem at every turn? Because they keep shoving them down our throat and putting them in our face and try to crown this clown as the creator of our one of our genres of music, which is very important because, like I said, it was a very political and well, not political, but a very rebellious music, bucking against the political powers that be. And we can never just allow them to take anything and have it as their own. We're retaking whatever it is back, whatever genre it is back, claiming it for ourselves, back for ourselves, because it never left us, but we allow others to rent it out and to wear its skin for a while. Enough is enough, because if a person can do that, that can erase who you are. And that is what's on the line, the erasure of not only our culture, but our identity and our very existence. So we always have to push back, fight back on every level, and gatekeep at all costs, because this is not only the erasure of us right now, but the identities of us and our children. And like Sister Eve said, our many me's, our many grands, and our many great grands, which meaning our children. So we have to fight. You are no good if we don't stand for something and fight for something. We have to fight for our culture. We have to fight for our reparations. We have to fight for our very survival because we have nobody but us. We have no friends. Dr. John Henry Clark. I rest my case.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. We have to see. For me, I'm gonna get to next speaker, but for me, I'm playing home field when it comes to this shit because I'm not worried about what other people think. I spent way too many years working with children. I only care about how our children see themselves. I only care about how we see us. And anybody who has an issue with that, I just really don't have time for. I only care about how we see ourselves. And no, we have to put our goddamn feet down and say, no, this is our shit. And I'm going to use this as an opportunity to remind you. Another reason why Eminem can't be in the top because he white. Because you ain't showed me no time that you ever acknowledge the greats of our greats that influence your culture. The people who are number one. You don't talk about the people, or you may give reference to one or two, but all the other black greats. I've never seen a white guitar tribute. Anyone who values. I've never seen any list of like top 25 guitarists of all time. I've never seen one with Eddie Hazel on it. They may put Muddy Waters because they have to. They're definitely gonna put Hendrix somewhere third or fourth because they have to. But overall, like if you're not one of those exact two, they don't acknowledge, Nile Rodgers. You know what I mean? These people, the reason I bring up people like Eddie Hazel from Funkadelic is because Eddie Hazel. I mean, when you're talking about the whole all that '80s rock sound, all the niggas from Bon Jovi to Nirvana, them niggas was trying to sound like Eddie Hazel. They weren't trying to sound like white people. They were trying to sound like Eddie Hazel from Parliament Funkadelic. That's what they were trying to sound. You ain't gonna hear his goddamn name get mentioned, you know. So these people don't play fair. You know what I mean? And that's fine. They do that, and the reason why they do that is to maintain a high cultural esteem. It's a false esteem because it's based on lies, but it's an esteem and it works. They protect whiteness. They have enough cultural pride to protect their whiteness, even when it's based on a lie, even when they know it's based on a lie. Why can't we do the same based on truth? I personally, isn't it honorable to respect the universe and truth? Is it not? It's like I think that's I personally think I think that's honorable when you standing up for what's true. I ain't trying to lie on nobody. I ain't trying to step on nobody else's toes. I ain't trying to discredit nobody. I just want to give complete credit to the ones who created this shit. Isn't that like a universal good thing? Isn't that like a good place to be in universally, just as human beings? Mm. But go ahead, different.
Hey, hey, what's up? Well, like, like to kind of go on like the same thing that you were saying. When it comes to people who are really into hip hop, especially when it comes to some white people who are real hip hop fans and not these fake ass bandwagon who don't really know shit about hip hop, they it's several videos of some people even making videos saying that all music from America and all popular music is really Black American music. I actually saw in Dwan two videos of people who are like music heads. These are white people who's actually explaining the same like the same thing that Dwan, Tyreek, and all them been saying. Like it comes to the history, it's out there. It's not no fake ass shit that people are saying because they trying to keep something. It's a fact. It's just like the same thing that all y'all been saying. It's time for us to kind of lock it down because a lot of these people are being on some culture vulture shit. They're trying to sit their ass up here and lie about some shit that's not even theirs. So like that's the main thing I wanted to say. Thank you.
I will. I'm not ready to that. I will say this: a lot of rank and file white folks will say things like this, and additionally, a lot of your original vulture class of white folks will say this. The ones who were inspired directly by the black artists, like the Rolling Stones, openly talk about Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf and those guys. The Beatles all openly talk about Chuck
Facts.
Berry and them wanting to be the Temptations and all that good stuff. They
Mhm.
like these people openly talked about all this stuff, and so what we have to know is, you know, that's true. When the grand story gets written, people look back. The media folks, they're the ones who rewrite everything, but they're also the ones who are responsible for what goes in the history books and what doesn't. The BGs talk openly about trying to get a rip off of the stylistics, but do you think Rolling Stone magazine is going to print that part? No, they're not going to print that part. That part's not going to go into the logs. It just goes into the logs that the Bee Gees are the greatest disco group of all time. Nothing else mentioned. They're not all that part about them trying when they were trying to sign the Rolling Stones. It wasn't working. They didn't take off as a group until they started trying to sign the Stylistics and the Delphonics. Yeah, they'll leave that part out of the history books, even though the guys from the Bee Gees openly talked about it at the time when they were at their height. You know what I mean? So that's why we must be the ones that have a say in what goes in the history books. You know what I mean? Because this is some real shit, and then it's a direct correlation between that and how things play out with our children, how we see ourselves and how we view ourselves, and us as adults, how we see ourselves and how we see one another. So we like that's some shit we gotta pay attention to. I got my dog Ruben up here. For those of you who know, Ruben, he got down to Hidden History Museum a few times on stage. Ruben be killing the Hidden History Museum. I done what 2 or 3 times? I think Ruben's done a Hidden History
Yeah, I've done
Museum
it. Yeah,
comedy
I've done
show
it a
more than
few
anyone
times.
else.
Yeah.
Cause he a funny motherfucker, and he got like a new TV show that he wrote script and all that shit. But he's also one of my favorite people who agitates Eminem fans. This nigga be going in on Eminem fans. If you ain't following him on social media, you need to. That should be hilarious. Go ahead.
Oh man, appreciate it, bro. Now I just wanted to contribute to the conversation.
Can
I
y'all hear
definitely.
Ruben? I can't hear Ruben.
Oh, can you hear me?
Can I
I
hear
can
him?
hear him, Dwan.
Ah,
Can you hear
shit.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All
Ruben, I'm gonna
right.
bring you right back. I kicked you back down because I can't hear what you're saying, and come right back up. I just invited you back up to speak because yeah, I couldn't hear nothing he was saying. All right, say something, Ruben. All right,
All
yeah, I
right,
hear you
cool,
now. Go ahead.
cool. No, I just wanted to say, I agree with Dr. Umar for sure. Because I feel like as Black people, we definitely have to gatekeep our culture because every other group does that. And we're the only group that wants to give our culture away and wants everybody to be. We all lives matter our culture, which I think is very detrimental because in no other group does that except us. And I think a lot of it plays into our need for acceptance and all that kind of stuff. But also too, just for me, Eminem can never be the GOAT for 2 reasons. One, because he got that racist song. Because it's like you're not gonna be the GOAT of a Black created and dominated art form, and you have a song that you literally are shitting on the creators of the genre that you are profiting and partaking in. And you know what I'm saying? Like you using the culture and you out here shitting on the very people that created that culture. So you can't be the GOAT for that alone. But then also, you also have a very large and noticeable racist fan base. And you can't be the GOAT when you have a lot of racist white people and you're bringing them into a Black space like that. Like that's real messed up. So, and to me, that's why I don't really like a lot of Black Eminem fans because a lot of them niggas be coons because they be okay with that shit. They be the main ones that be saying it's okay for my white friends to say nigga and it's all good and stuff. And to me, it's like you can't be no, like you can't bring that into the culture because first of all, anti-Black racism is a main tenet of our culture, and that's in all aspects of our culture, whether that be music, film. We constantly talk about anti-Black racism because that's something that is very real for us. So for you to have a large fan base of racist white people, because you got these white boys who be like, I don't even like rap, meaning I don't like niggas, but I love Eminem. So it's like, bruh, you got people who are your fans that don't even respect the culture. It means you don't respect Black people. So by that alone, it's like, no, you can never be the GOAT. You can never come up in a GOAT discussion. And that's why I will always clown Black Eminem fans who try to give him some pass and because he's just like the great white hope or whatever. And it's like, fuck that. Nah. And with that, I land my plane.
Yeah, real talk, Ruben. They right. We kind of talked about that a little earlier, like that connection between the kind of fan base he has and how that plays out, how they are in other areas of Blackness. And on top of that, Ruben, you know who else this is? These are the niggas that when the Black woman does some crazy shit, they be like, "See, this is what I mean by Black women. and they'll go in, and then they'll be like, talking about this is why I need to be a passport, bro.
Facts. It's the
And then
fresh and
they'll start
fit
all kind of
niggas.
shit. The Christian niggas, exactly. These motherfuckers that
And
watch
those
all that
niggas is not
white
from here. Let's just keep it a buck. Keep it a
content. A
buck.
lot of them are, but some of them are. I see some of these niggas is from out here. Some of these niggas is. Most of them aren't, but some of these niggas be so quick. Like out here in LA, these outer line area niggas, I know they from here. You know what I mean? And they be
Mm.
like, they'll be the ones that also be like, either be that or the ones that the ones that are from here. Eve most of the time is, man, Eminem the only white boy, man. You gotta put him in the top 10. What you mean? What do you mean they gotta put him in the top 10?
And
There's
not the
these
only
white.
white boy. Like, come on, there's
Someone
like
said that
five
to me
different
today,
white lyrical artists who are better than Eminem,
but
and they
they
don't
said
rap about doing bad things to their mommy. Like,
they
can
were
we just put that
saying,
out there?
yeah, these motherfuckers. But they were saying since he's the best of the white people, that puts him in the top 10 automatically just because being look. And I was like, no, being best of
Also,
the white, being
if I
best of the white people means you're now the 350th ranked nigga. That's all. But go ahead.
and also I was gonna say when they say he's the best of white people, he's really just the best selling. That's really the main thing that has propped him up is just because he got the crazy record sales. But if you really want to talk about just skill and talent and lyrical ability, that nigga's whack. Like he's really not that good. Like I mean, he got a couple little like clever wordplay and whatnot, but yeah, he's really just propped up. It's the sales that everybody says, oh, that's why he's the GOAT, because he got all the record sales. And then of course they like to say that all your favorite rappers say that he's good, so he must be good. But even Eminem has himself put himself at number 10 and listed 9 other black rappers that are above him. So the Eminem fans don't even take their own advice as far as that. They basically trying to say you niggers need to follow what these other black rappers say. They say he's good, so you need to say he's good. But it's like, okay, following that logic, the white goat tells you himself that he's number 10. So how can you sit here and say that he's the goat? You got to follow your own logic.
Yep. Yeah, these motherfuckers, they don't even have a logic. That's the problem, Ruben. They don't have a fucking logic. You know what I mean? When it comes down to it, I'm gonna change directions, but I'm gonna get the international show off. I'm gonna hear what you got to say, then I'm gonna go ahead and change directions. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to clear something out. A couple of people had spoke, and when I spoke earlier, and I was saying that if we could be racist for 1 month, the part that's going over all you guys' heads is I mean, what I meant was if we could have that power, that's the key word. If we had that power for 1 month that the racists have, if we could be racist for 1 month, have that power, then we could take out white supremacy. I never said
Bruh,
that,
let me ask you
you
That
real
know,
quick, and I'm
that
sorry, I
yeah.
hate that I
I don't
just
want to
said, bruh.
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right
Right.
now.
I just wanted to clear that up.
Obviously,
That's all I wanted to
yeah,
do.
yeah. Thank you for that. And I respect everybody said, but yeah, I want to keep this back on this because I tend to stay away from the ifs because especially that shit ain't gonna happen. So I think we just gotta.
Devon, look, there's nothing wrong with being laser beam focused. And I think that if he listened to my response to him, so dude, catch the playback because I think that it would help you. We need to be focused. I agree with that. But, we need to start somewhere. Let's start here, like with this conversation that we've been talking about for the past 2 hours. Like, Dr. Umar said that Eminem can't be the GOAT because he's not African. And while a lot of us agree with that, I think it's deeper. We've been diving deep into, if it's just African, like, or is it
Yeah,
something else?
I'm glad you brought that up because that's the direction I want to turn into this African part. That perfect, Eve. I appreciate that. You just made that left turn I need to make. I ain't gonna be here all day. I ain't gonna be here forever, but I do want to take some time on the African part. And yes, like when we're talking about our solutions, like I said, I respect everybody got to say, but I don't spend too much time on what we know is not gonna happen. So it's more so let's talk about what we do have. Let's work with the ingredients that we have, not the ingredients we wish we had. But when it comes with it, when it comes to this whole African thing, going back to that, Dr. Umar and this whole, you know, like I mentioned before, the conversation between Quincy Jones and Kendrick Lamar, and this is what they always say. Well, they don't know their history. Well, my question is, well, do you know your history, your indigenous American history? How many Clyde Winters books have you opened up? How many Dr. David Emotep books have you opened up? Rest in peace. Dr. David Emotep died this past September with basically a whimper from the black community, and that was kind of sad if you ask me. His book, The First Americans Are Africans, and he's talking about all the indigenous history here in the Americas. I have the second and third edition. That second edition at one point was like valued at over $6,000 because they took it out print. That shit was too real with the pictures and everything and the artifacts that he had, linguistics and the multiple points of reference to prove all the black people's existence in the Americas throughout the different epochs in time. And he, like, how many people who talk about they can talk to you all day, but have they studied Dr. David Imhotep? Have they studied Ben Sardoma? Have they studied any of these people? Dr. Horn, some of the Jazz and Justice, a lot of the books that are about here. So many books that are written about Black American culture and music history here in the Americas. They're hard to find. You kind of have to go down a rabbit hole to get them. But then you have other people who aren't so hard to find, like Dr. Clyde Winters. He's been around. We have access to him, and there's this long cultural lineage of music here in the Americas. Tom toms, for instance, on a drum set. The drum set is kick, snare, hi hat, ride cymbal, crash cymbal, tom tom. The toms are different than African hand drums. Of course, Africans do have some drums with one mallet and a stick, but having two sticks and a tom, that's an Native American, Indigenous American style drum. That's our shit. And to fill out a drum set, a standard drum kit has three toms: high, mid, and low. My setup, I got a 10-inch, 12-inch, I got 10, 12, 14 set up. It's my gig kit. With the standard size 12, 14, 16. And then your 20-inch kick drum. It used to be in the marching band, mallet, snare in the middle. The cymbals, the hi-hats, that comes from Mesopotamia, Zildjian Company. But when you to see the symbols we use, that don't even come from Africa. Like I said, that comes from Turkey, Istanbul, ancient Mesopotamia. The Zildjian Company been around since the 1600s. But when black people created the drum set here in America, it repurposed a new purpose for cymbals. Cymbals used to be used in holding two different hands and you crash them together. They used to be in Asia, they use them as gongs. You know, they're different using symbols. The black Americans said, in America, that when we instead of crashing them together like you do in Europe, European music, orchestra, where you hold the two cymbals and you crash them, we're gonna sit this hole on the stand, and when it comes time for a break in the song, you're gonna hit that cymbal. But when you hit the cymbal, you also hit your kick at the same time. That's a trick us drummers use. The drums can't hit the cymbal without hitting the kick. It gives it the bottom and the high. If I just hit a cymbal without a kick, it's gonna be too loud and too crashy, and it's gonna sort of disrupt the sound that's going on. But when I hit the kick drum with my cymbal, that creates a dividing line. That creates a dynamic point in the music that separates the pieces of music. Something that is only found in Black American music, because drums don't function that way around the planet in other ways. So when we didn't invent the cymbal, but we redefined how the cymbal was used. Everything else, the snare wasn't a popular drum in Africa. Snares, rattlesnakes that's an American snake. Rattlesnakes are American. Let me get some of these snares over here and put them inside this drum. So now instead of a do, you get a click, you get a snap, you get a crack, you get a pop instead of a drop. A tom gives a drop, snare gives a pop. It's not, like, we've done some otherworldly shit with the sounds in our music that is completely ours, that we created here in the Americas on our own without anybody's help at church. And then after church, out in the juke joints. If you wasn't in church with us, if you weren't in the juke joints with us, you had no part in the creation. And the people who created that music in church and juke joints were native and indigenous to America, and some were brought in from Africa. Some were brought in from, because on top of the intercontinental trade, slave trade, you had the intracontinental slave trade. So you had slaves getting captured in Pennsylvania and New York, black people, free black people, and sold to plantations in the Carolinas and in Georgia. You got free black people that were walking around in Ohio and Indiana that were getting caught by slave catchers and sold to plantations down in Mississippi and Arkansas and Louisiana. Yeah, it's deep. All that shit went on. But they want to tell you one part of the story about the people who came from Africa. And somehow this small group of about 380,000 Africans that came from Africa to the Americas, somehow they changed the whole landscape of everything. There was nothing being done here. There was no music here. There was nothing already going on. Suddenly, these people who were shipped, and if we listen to their history correctly, stripped of their names, stripped of their identities, stripped of their instruments, and forced and sold over here, families torn apart, stripped of their identity. Somehow, they still brought all that stuff that they were stripped of, according to your story, and somehow they put it together and created the sound that the world now listens to. When those at home who still live on the continent who weren't stripped of any of that shit, they still have their language, they still have the native instruments, they still have their way of life that they had. They're not creating music that the rest of the world like. I mean, when you hear fucking African drum circles, that's just niggas on some I wanna, come together with my brothers kind of vibe. You ain't listening to that shit in your car. Not even you Lamar Park niggas that be in the drum circle. You're not but when the last time you see a nigga say, hey man, let's get that new drum circle mix. Nigga, I ain't never heard a drum circle mixtape. Have you ever heard a drum circle mixtape in my life? I ain't never heard none of that shit. But somehow I really believe the people who in today's present moment aren't creating any kind of sound that the world wants to listen to outside of a novelty concert here and there. Let's tell the truth. And if you buying African music, show me the proof, nigga. Screenshot that shit right now on your fucking iTunes, and don't go download it right now, nigga. Screenshot it right now, and then screenshot the page when it has how many listens you listened to in the year 2023, and tell me if I'm lying, nigga. All right. So that's something that we gotta think about when it comes to this. You know what I mean? No, it's a whole story that's here in the Americas that hasn't been told, and we about to tell it. Go ahead, Eve, and then you can kick it on to whoever's next.
All right, let's go ahead and keep it just moving. I know I've soapboxed a little while tonight, uh, and the new speakers have felt some sort of way about that. Not saying Tasden feels some sort of way. Tasden seems to be patient. I hope I'm saying it right. Are you there? Let's see if we can hear you.
No, that's correct. You said it correct.
All
Sazen.
right. Can you hear him, Dwan?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Go ahead, Tasden.
All right. So, in regards to Dr. Umar being right about Eminem, I mean, he's spot on. He's totally right. Anybody who I think is a fan that's not biased to white dominance can realize that there's so many different artists who have contributed to hip hop in so many different ways that you know, in my opinion, if you're a fan of hip hop, a real fan, if you've been listening since the 80s and 90s and into the 2000s, the Eminem, I would say he's not even in the top 20. You have so many different MCs that changed the game, that elevated the game, that they set bars and standards from like Rakim to Nas. Once these guys started rhyming in a certain at a certain level of articulation, then they just changed the game. Everybody had to try to follow, their patterns. And when you look at the Outkast and when you look at Wu Tang and just what hip hop really is, there's so many different elements to this genre where, you know, I'm at an age where I didn't even listen to Soldier Boy. I thought Soldier Boy was, I used to call Soldier Boy trash. But when you look at just the work he put in and how influential he was for his generation, I can remember going to Atlanta when Soldier Boy was out, and it was like kids dressed like Soldier Boy. That's the type of influence that hip hop artists have, that are influential, that really move the culture. The same thing with Chief Keef, right? Like the whole drill rap genre that he kind of launched, and all these little Chief Keefs and all these little other rappers all around the country started rapping like him. Like you have so many different artists who just kind of propelled the genre into different directions or started a new movement in the genre. Eminem's never done that. Eminem, the one element that Eminem has that everyone can agree with is that he's lyrical. But when it comes to his delivery, it's annoying. It's you can't, listen to it for more than two songs maybe, if you can get through two songs, and then you got to kind of turn it off. With Tupac Shakur, Tupac could be saying anything, and with the cadence he had, with that delivery, with that, and even though you had, baby, I gotta thank the Lord that you made me. That gives you goosebumps. Just his delivery, um, it's just to be so one dimensional when it comes to Eminem. It's just what
You
kind
know,
of really
what,
X's.
what one thing I hear in what you just said, you brought up a good point, is see what Tupac put is the thing that's always been the most important with our music. Soul. Our music
Is a better rapper than
still so
Eminem.
hey, hold on. Calm down, homie. Everybody has to speak in, nigga. Let's go, chill. So back to Tasden.
Dewan, can you name 20
Um
rappers?
back to Tasden. Set your emotional ass up, nigga. God damn. Wait your fucking turn. If you can't wait your turn, we gonna boot you. See,
So,
it's always
what,
these emotional ass niggas. But anyway, back to Tasden.
so what I was saying about
No.
Soldier Boy.
Hold on. What I was saying about Tupac. Back to what I said about Tupac. Tupac knew how to emote, and that's an essential element of our music. Um, you feel Tupac. Eminem doesn't have that element, the emotion, the thing that makes you feel him. That's why everybody jumps right back to his rhyme pattern and all these technical issues. You got to put all the technical jargon, and most of the technical jargon that these niggas are saying, they don't even understand what the fuck they saying. They just kind of repeating some shit that they read in XL magazine in 2007, and so they have to do all the explaining because he doesn't emote. He has no soul in his music, and someone like a Tupac does, And yeah, I ain't the biggest Tupac fan. I don't listen to that much Tupac. The motherfucker got soul, and it's the reason why. That's the reason why 30 years later his shit still bump. And nigga, 20 years later, Eminem shit sounded old 18 years ago. Like music that came out 20 years ago started sounding old 19 years ago. That's just a fact. But you can go ahead and finish your point before I move on.
So, my ultimate point is that hip hop is more than just lyrics. It's more than just being able to use these onomatopoeias and metaphors and literary devices. You have the delivery, you have the dress, the wear, and that's what you have the language, right? When I talk about Soldier Boy, I'm talking about the comprehensive package of Soldier Boy. To me, Soldier Boy was whack, but to my nephew and to the generation that listened to that, Soldier Boy was the greatest thing since sliced bread. It wasn't just the lyrics. He was a great producer. He had that soul, that music that made you dance, right? He also had the when it came to the apparel, he had little kids, his generation dressing like him, buying the shades, wearing the scarves and whatever he was, wearing at the time, and doing the dance. He had the dance. All of that is it's hip hop is all encompassing of that. It's the music, it's the dance, it's the way you dress. Soldier Boy was the entire package. He influenced all of that. You didn't have anybody out here dressing like Eminem. You didn't have anybody wearing. I don't even think he had any like cultural influence when it came to wear, or there was no dances that this guy made. It's the same thing with Chief Keef, right? Like to me, that's war music. That drill music is, it's war music. But there's no debate as far as his influence, where he set off an entire subgenre where you have all these other little, drill rappers from New York
Yeah,
to
I get
St.
what you're
Louis.
saying right there, my brother.
That
I want to
that's
get on.
hip hop. So
Yep.
I appreciate you letting me speak on the platform. Thanks. So I'll
Yes,
drop one.
sir.
But yeah, Umar's right. Eminem's not even in the top 25 in my opinion.
Yep.
I'll leave it at that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, he doesn't. He made a good point. He doesn't cover all the other bases when it comes to our music. I see the other nigga trying to get back up in here and speak again. No, nigga, you can't speak. Any hoe ass nigga that can't. Anybody that can't hold their breath long enough to speak and can't be patient, and you come running in trying to change the topic to your sorry ass point of view, ain't gonna get a chance to speak. I don't do whole shit in my rooms, all right? We do shit in order. We ain't about to do no clubhouse bullshit. Nigga, you either fall in line, get the fuck out. All right, now it's on you.
Hey, can you hear me, Dwan?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
so
Yes,
I'm
sir.
gonna be brief, but yeah, I don't like the argument. Always confuse me. I mean, he's a decent white rapper, So like, I'm 45, so I've done seen a lot of rappers come along, and just like the previous speaker said, what I mean, you have to take in consideration like influence. I mean, like, we talk about top five and lyricists. Like Redman isn't even mentioned. What I mean? You have Eminem mentioned before Redman. Um, During the time of EPMD, when they had the Hit Squad, when you had K Solo, I would say I would ask anybody. I would just tell you guys to go back and listen to K Solo Spellbound, when he basically went through a whole rhyme using every letter in the alphabet. So there's so many lyricists. I mean, a short-lived lyricist. I mean, you had what's the guy that battled LL Cool J? I forget his name. Cannabis. I
Cannabis.
mean, come on. Like, I mean, lyrics was like second to none. Even though LL Cool J, they gave him the victory in that battle. So I don't really get it when we talk about how great of a lyricist Eminem is, when you have just countless other rappers. I mean, people are even putting Eminem before Scarface. Man, go back and listen to Scarface's verse, Mac and Brad, when he was rapping with Beanie C. Listen to the wordplay, the lyrics, and how he rolled that beat. But again, it's basically like we are so thirsty for white approval. It's akin to soon when you see a white boy dressed like, dressed in some kind of urban wear, and we act like we seen a UFO, or we see a white boy that could dance or has a little bit of swag. It's the same thing with Eminem. You know what I'm saying? I mean, society was just basically, the dominant society was just happy to see a white boy that could rap, and that's all that we can basically wrap this up to. I'll close.
Real talk. Yeah, real talk. I'll give y'all some influence Eminem has. Eminem got white boys getting a black aesthetic with their haircut. That's what Eminem did. Eminem hate made white boys and non-black people adopt a black aesthetic and not be ashamed for it. Because remember back in the '90s, all the white boys wore Skechers. They wore all them stupid ass looking clothes and shit. They had the white boys had bangs in their hair. Their hair be jumping all over the fucking place, looking like goddamn Ted Danson. All of them, every white boy looked like goddamn Ted Danson or motherfucking Steve from Married with Children. They all had that stupid ass haircut, and then Eminem came in and got them lining their shit up, cutting it low, getting the nigga hairline, you know what I mean? And wear some nice baggy jeans, no more than dick huggers. No more Wrangler dick hugging jeans like they used to wear in the 90s. And them more white boys used to get crotch infections from them tight ass jeans they was wearing. And then Eminem allowed them to wear their jeans a little bit looser. You know what I mean? Eminem made the white boys, you know, start to, because remember back in the '90s, on Married with Children, for like half of one season, Bud Bundy, he had changed his name to like Grandmaster Ace, or he was taking on like a whole black walk, and he was rapping and shit. He actually released an album, a song too. Bud Bunny from Married with Children. Go back and look it up. But they actually played with that line. He was kind of living that lifestyle off camera, so they kind of adapted it onto the screen for like a half a season. And the whole time he had that character during that season, Peggy and Al would just kind of be clowning him like, "This is oh, you white," basically, but they wouldn't say that. Every joke would be clowning him for taking on a black aesthetic, and that's how white boys was treated in the '90s. The ones Marky Mark, the ones who take on a black aesthetic, they were clowns. Eminem made a black aesthetic cool to white people to where they were no longer clowns for taking on a black aesthetic. Now white boys be having 22-inch rims, country white boys. Motherfuckers be having their hair lined up. They accept that shit. So I will give Eminem the credit for that. He made white people more comfortable with looking like niggas. But still at the end of the day, it's a nigga, it's a white boy. Let's look at this anthropologically, and I'm gonna get right to you, Sonny. Let's look at who's the influencer here. Eminem didn't come in with a white aesthetic and have black people now adopting a white aesthetic. He didn't do that. Eminem came in with a black aesthetic and made it comfortable for white people to adopt a black aesthetic. Black people. That's called cultural dominance. If we're in an anthropology class, if we're in anthropology 101, and you have an essay question on prove the cultural dominance, and this is one of my questions. This is why I realized how dominant. I realized in college anthropology that Black American culture was so dominant because they'll tell you in class, "Hey, look, the Black American culture is the only subculture in the world that that runs and dictates how the dominant culture moves. The only one that bleeds to the top." We talked about that shit in white school. A lot of you niggas went to HBCUs and talk about all that shit. Well, in my white university, we talked openly about how black culture was the dominant culture in the United States of America. And nowhere else on the planet can that be found, where subculture influences not only the dominant culture in the country, but by extension influences the world. See, white boys understand that. We don't know that shit. And you got niggas like Dr. Umar trying to say all that shit that we doing, all we got all these wins on the board. We have like 100 points to one. And all them wins, he trying to say African scored it. We ain't even got no fucking African on the court. Ain't not one nigga named Mbekwe got a jersey on, nigga. Niggas hooping. You got Bryant, nigga. You got Kobe on the team. You got Jordan. You got Chris Paul. You got Magic. You got motherfucking Kareem, but his real name is Lou Alcindor. He ain't no fucking real Muslim. He a new Muslim. You dig what I'm saying? You got all these niggas on the court, and you ain't got no African nowhere to be found. And they trying to give all the goddamn points to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Fuck out of here. That nigga wasn't even playing. He didn't even have a fucking jersey on. But just because he looked like us, he gets the points. That's the shit that we dealing with as Black Americans. We got to keep having these fucking conversations. But I know I was gonna wind it down a little bit, but Sonny up in here. I want to hear what Sonny got to say about this whole topic. Go ahead, Sonny.
Yo, Dwan, what's going down? What's going down, fam? Can you hear me?
Yes,
I
sir.
just
Yes,
walked in the
sir.
crib.
All right. Yeah,
Okay,
we hear
okay,
you.
okay. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, man. Dr. Umar was definitely right, man, on this particular topic. And I'm not a Pan African in any shape or form, as far as the ideology goes, but I try to look at people's messages, you know, and take it for what it's worth, you know, and right is right and wrong is wrong. So I think Dr. Umar definitely was 100% right, on this particular topic. Listen, man, Eminem is super gassed up. Just technical, just by technical MCing. Like he's super gassed up. There's nothing special about him. He's not doing nothing that nobody else has ever done. When it comes to rapping ability or MC levels. Um, I just it's weird, man. It's weird. I try to understand like what's the hype about Eminem because he's not better. You know, he's not doing anything. He's not really saying nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like he's saying a whole bunch of just random things. The most random things you could say. You know, in a booth. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't. It don't hold no weight, no value. It doesn't really resonate with your soul. Um, he's just super gassed up, man. Like I'm just thinking about anybody around his era that came out. Who is he better than? And people, even um currently in the past. I don't know why Eminem would be in your top 10. I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? I think that Ludacris, because people like to use the term, the Eminem is just he's animated. I mean, shit. I mean, Redman is animated. Ludacris is animated. I don't think he's better than any of them two. So, um, I don't know, man. When I be listening to shit,
I think what it is, we know what it is. He white.
yeah,
That's
that's
really
it.
all it is. He
People
white.
lower the bar because he white, and they like, ooh, you know what I'm saying. So when because I'm always looking at shit from an MC standpoint of you, Dwan, because I'm an MC. I rap. I've been rapping for 20 years. You know what I'm saying? Like I know all the tricks in the bag: double entendres, triple entendres, punchlines, metaphors. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I look at the wordplay, the scheme of the wordplay. Like when I'm listening to rap, I'm listening from a different level than a normal person would listen to it because how I approach it, you know what I'm saying? When it's time for me to go into the booth. And I don't see him doing anything, where I'm just in ooh or ah as from a fan. Let's take it away than him being white. Just strictly off of his skill ability. I'm not hearing anything where I'm going like ooh and ah like when he spit. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of his raps are just outlandish, wild, um just the most random, having sex with animals. It's a whole bunch of random white boy shit. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a whole bunch of shit that black people can't even resonate with, man. It's weird, bro. It's really weird. And yeah, it's interesting to see a lot of people throwing on the cake, man. And I get it. A lot of people want to beat up Umar, ask him about the school, a whole bunch of random shit that really don't got nothing to do with the topic. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, man, by no shape or form do I agree with Umar on a lot of the things that he says. You know what I'm saying? Watching that interview, I didn't agree with what he said about reparations. I felt like that was crazy out of pocket to say that on that platform. Um, Him trying to Africanize Black Americans and not let us have our own autonomy when it comes to our own culture. That's whack. But at the same time, I eat the meat and spit out the bone. So I agree with Umar 100% on this topic. You know what I mean? Eminem is it's time for, I'm gonna be honest, man, it's time for Eminem to kind of just go, man, because he doesn't really do anything for the black community. He doesn't speak up when it comes to black issues. And he's just benefiting off the culture.
Sonny, let me pause
Yeah.
you here. And Dewan, I know you was about to say something, but because you talked about the black community, I posted in the jumbo Ace somebody. I don't know if y'all know who that is. He's got some following or whatever. But he said that Eminem had done more for the black community than Umar, and he's not asking for donations. But I just think that is a low blow. Like, it's not the conversation at all. Like, yes, it's a lot of people who've done things that maybe you could have done it a different way. However, if a broken clock is right twice a day, are we going to say that it's not right those two times a day? Or are we going to just not use the clock to tell time? But, at 2 o'clock, when it's 2 o'clock, we know it's 2 o'clock because that clock is on it, when it's 2 o'clock. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, they oh shit, I'm over here muting myself. Sonny said a whole lot right there. And like, about that how they get pushed to the top. Eminem, but really Eminem, going back to Umar and this whole African thing. Yeah, that's where, and I think that's why Umar really gets that push. He gets on these mainstream stuff. I do feel like everybody got their own opinions on Umar, and I'm not going to agree nor disagree with anyone else's opinions on him. I just try to stick to bringing him up when certain topics come up, and yeah, I do agree with the fact that Eminem cannot be at the top because he's white. But at the same time, all this African shit. Look, I'm at the point now to where even when it comes to other black people, all right, if it's African, prove it. Who brought it over here and when? Because when I go back into my studies, I'm giving you names and dates and sounds. And I'm seeing this cultural continuity from the 1700s through now. Even Europeans back in the day were talking about the sound in Black America. Queen Victoria of England, the queen who used to smoke weed in Buckingham Palace, she was bringing over Black American musicians to perform in England in the 1830s and 40s. It was Black American musicians. Black American musicians have always performed at the White House. People don't know that. Yeah, Black musicians that performed for James Buchanan's inauguration. You know what I mean? Like and we've always in the writings. Man, I better stop playing. Man, I found a book written in 1887 about a century of Black American music. You don't think I've been going on through that motherfucker? That book cost me some bread. Nigga, a book written in 1887 on a century of Black American music. My God, that shit could have been written in 1987. That shit could have been written in 2023. One thing I'm starting to see as I read through this book is, God damn, we've been doing this for a long time with names and dates. They keep telling me I got this shit from Africa, but out of all this reading I'm doing, they ain't gave me the name of an African yet. That's what I'm on when it comes to people like Umar and all these other people who are claiming everything good we do is African. All right, who? Give me their name. When did they do this? I don't want to be up here forever. Eve, go ahead and say what you have. I have to say. Go ahead and close it out.
No, I really respect that aspect of it all because, we try not to act like we know everything over here. So if somebody knows more and they have some evidence of it, please provide it so that we can learn too. I hate know-it-all niggas who don't want to share the information, but I do understand the gatekeeping aspect of the sharing of the information. But, this is our story too. So if you're saying that, it's from somewhere else, then you should be able to show and prove. And then to the other point that we've been talking about, just because you've got sales doesn't mean that you're the best when we know that there's people out here that drive sales. There are literal people who will go out and purchase tickets for concerts and then turn around and then give those tickets away. So it's not that the concert sold out, it's just that all of these corporations purchased all the tickets. Now there are no tickets, and then the tickets are being given away. So people who weren't even gonna buy tickets, like I'm sorry, it's all rigged in the system of racism, white supremacy. Um, I'm gonna land here because I think I need to go handle some minis upstairs. But I think this topic was excellent. I think the contributors have been thoughtful, and I think that we need to do it again.
Yeah, we definitely have to do this again. Sonny, you got something to say before I close it out?
Nah, man. You know, yeah, you already know, Dwan. I'm sorry I came in this joint late. I'm sorry I came in this joint late, man. I love these conversations, man, because you, like I said, man, I'm really kind of just peeling back this conversation, man, like, and trying to be unbiased about it. I don't, you know, by default, just by technical skill level, what makes Eminem a top 10 MC? I don't really, I don't see it, man. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't see it. And I'm not saying that he's garbage. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm not saying that he's garbage, but top 10 is a super duper stretch, man. And the people who kind of are in that same vein and same lane that Eminem is in, that are black, they don't get that shine. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't get that shine at all. It's plenty of other MCs, you know, who are in that same vein, you know what I'm saying, as Eminem, as far as like the wordplay, the being an animated rapper, you know what I'm saying, and things like that. They don't get the same play, the same shine or nothing. You know what I'm saying? And it just really makes me scratch my head on this subject. But I'm gonna get off my soapbox, man, because I could really start rambling about this topic. You know, so but yeah, I appreciate the space though, Dwan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, and that's it. Like, I'm actually going to have my music of the 19th century through now course dropping. I'm gonna drop the first it's a self-paced school that I'm putting out for people, and I want to have books and all that information and stuff in the course. Uh, want to have that up by mid January is when I have the first few lessons up online. I will drip those out self-paced, and then we'll have group discussions on that. That's a little more involved on my end. So, but yeah, a lot of that stuff is going to be in that class. And what you find is, like, I'm doing some of my research right now. One of these books I have right now, this shit was written in 1881, and it was covering the previous 100 years of black music. Like, this shit goes so deep. It's so much deeper than slavery. Slavery was a part of it. It was a major part of it, but it was still a part of it. You know, there was still free black societies, and even during slavery, you had musicians that were as slaves being loaned out and just going around performing music. You think the shit? Where do you think the term slave contract comes from? Because yes, not every slave was picking cotton. Some slaves were the greatest musicians ever, and their white paymasters made a lot of money off of them. While they got nothing. You think these white boys figured out how to fuck us over on contracts after we were free? This shit go real deep. Got my documentary up on DwannBrown.com. Go there also to donate because I need, you know, shit. We raising money so we can get these episodes pumped out. I'm already filming my next episode, but we need your help. All right, so go to DwannBrown.com and donate to the GoFundMe to push forward with it. This will be up on YouTube later on tonight. And so yeah, with that being said, remember there are no perfect messengers, only perfect messages for those willing to pick up the game. All right, y'all have a good one.